Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
Adams, they're all nuts.
Welcome everybody once again
I just
to
threw
the
together
top
a couple of
5.
clips in 30 seconds for an intro. Tom
Yeah,
knocked it out of the park again.
I guess.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know
a
about
great
that.
intro. I like
Thank
that.
you.
I
was
liked
very
it.
long.
Yeah, I was with it.
That was cool.
Of course, the man of the day is Kurt Russell, but the man who picked this is Nickweiser, our guest tonight. How are you doing, Mr. Nickweiser? Welcome.
What's up, Tom? How you doing, sir?
Doing all right. Getting good grades. The future's so bright, I got to wear shades. You know how it goes. It might help if I share this out.
Yeah, no, sure. Oh, yeah, I share that. Everyone watching this should share this out. Hello, chat. Hello, mods. And good to be hanging out with you, 70s, Scribe, Andy, and Gary, and Tox. I'm ready to talk about Kurt Russell because Kurt Russell is not only a great actor, in my opinion, but when you think of the legends of action movies, Kurt Russell's not the first thing that comes to mind for many, though in my opinion he should, because once you actually go down the resume, oh, hold up. Yeah, she did this, and that. Yeah, she does have a great resume. He's just not as immediate for some, but once people bring it back to people's minds, I'm like, we got to put some more recognizing into the great Kurt Russell. So I'm ready for this. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, let's introduce the rest of the panel. We've got Brian, a.k.a. that 70s rock fan here. How you doing? How's Canada?
Good, sir. Canada is still here. It's still closed. It's all right.
You're still insisting it's a real country?
It's absolutely a real country made up of provinces, some of which are more habitable than others. But yeah, it's okay. Honestly, could be worse. And how are you, sir?
Doing the best I can. We also have Scribe Light here, so I'm doing very well. How you doing, Scribe?
Oh, I'm flattered that I've brought such joy into your life. I'm doing well, thank you.
It's always fun to get to hang out with you on Sunday nights.
Yay.
Hope you're doing well and you had a good Thanksgiving.
I did appreciate it. Hope everybody else did too.
And you as well, Tox. So hopefully you had a wonderful holiday. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. We had a great holiday. We went to family on Thursday, and then we had our kids and stuff here yesterday. So it's really good. Wife made a barbecued bacon pork roast.
Oh,
interesting.
That was phenomenal.
Great.
Yeah,
it's like double pork.
Pork wrapped in bacon.
Double the pork.
Right. Yeah, I thought about doing a swine apple, but it snowed, so it was like a swine apple's when you core out a pineapple, you cut up pork, a pork loin, barbecue that, and then you put that in the pineapple, and then you cover the pineapple back up, wrap it in bacon, and then slow smoke that for about 6 hours.
Well, now,
And
if you
then
actually
you cut
take
it up.
pork and wrap it in bacon, isn't that like taking it back to nature? Because
Well,
that's the way
so
it came
it's
out of the
like
pig, right?
bacon, yeah, bacon, pineapple, pork. So
The
it's kind of
pineapple
like,
doesn't belong anywhere near food, though.
I understand.
I'm not.
There's some
Yeah,
people
I
out there
mean,
that,
I try it with
they
that, but
Hey,
not on a
hey,
pizza.
Toby
the
lover.
guns, yeah. One of the guys I follow said it's one of those conservative guys that I follow, a big tough dude. He goes this video is made for the guy that's dating my daughter, and you think this big buff dude looks like Andy, only bigger. And then he goes, you think he's gonna go? I'm gonna beat him up. He goes, after you guys had this party at the house last night, there was some pineapple pizza here, and apparently my daughter ordered it. And I just want to say she's your problem now. And I was like, oh, great. Got all of that. He goes, I didn't teach her to eat that kind of crap in my house. It's like that's an internet dad right there. So,
Damn right. Speaking of internet dads, we have Andy Masterson here. How you doing?
hey, internet dad.
Very well, from a very rainy New Jersey.
Like your background there, you're filling it out nicely. Look at that. Wow.
Got to
Look
put
at all that.
I got to put Netflix Tom in there.
That's right.
Ah,
Tom and Mikey together. We're like Freebie and the Bean.
Oh, wait. What up, free
It's
base?
more like
Free base in the bean.
In the bean. Well, he'll let me say it, but I'm not going to say it because he's not here. I know what he would say, but yeah.
it's a panel of dads.
It makes its own joke. This is true. I think so. Scribe, you're a dad too, right?
I am not so blessed now.
Oh, okay. So Scribe is not.
All by
Nah, right, go fix
myself.
them right now. Come right back.
Gary, do you have kids? I never
do
even
not.
asked.
No, not
I
that
was
I
gonna
know
say.
of.
Okay, so we got 2 dads.
Okay,
None that he
we're two down.
claims anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
There's
Go
a
get
reason why you
productive.
I love
Go
that
right
when they
back.
asked me that at the doctor's. Like, do you have any kids? Yeah, 1 son. Any more than that? Nope, not that I know of. Not that I claim. Anyway. Also, we have Nickweiser here. How you doing, Nick? We already introduced you,
We
and
already
Gary as well. How you doing, Gary? I like your gremlin back there. You got the other one. I got the stripe one. You got the regular one.
Yeah, I got the generic gremlin. That's
Does he
pretty
have the
cool.
little spikes on his head? Like just a little.
I think he does. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a little.
I might
tiny
have to
ones.
order one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were that big, but it's a pretty good sculpt, man. It looks a lot like that,
They're
Chris Wallace.
supposed to be
sculpt.
1-in-1. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real cool, man. I like it a lot. I'm very pleased with this purchase.
Yeah. I don't know what they used to make the sculpt with, but it looks pretty spot on. I'm
good.
real attentive to the detail on that.
Yep.
We got Tomorrowland here who sent in a $2 super chat. It says, Yata, what? Ya'atai Nadalia. I don't even know what that is. Sorry about that, Tomorrowland. I'm sure I'm missing the reference here.
better be
That's my
careful. Bruce Campbell did something like that.
Maybe you're meant
I
to
know.
translate that on Google to English. Translate that on Google to English.
Right.
See
Don't
what-
say it. Just don't say it 3 times.
Yeah.
Biggie Smalls.
I'll get back to that one.
Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls.
Klaatu, Barada, Nico.
Ah.
Inwards.
Oh,
Yeah.
Edward.
I said it. I said all the syllables.
And I want to welcome everybody coming in from the VR raid. We got Okie Native here who sends in 2 and says, common mistake. People just call Scribbles daddy. Okay.
It has happened once or twice.
Scribbles, is that your nickname?
That is that's one of my other various nicknames that I was given years ago.
Okay, I think this is French. Cryam says, La faute au roi de la corbe culture. Something like that. They're trying to make me sound like an idiot.
It's a short trip.
I know, right? They're doing this on purpose. Dearest Sensituda, I don't get the joke, guys. I'm really like out on this one. Mutezi uni torture rendes les fabulousum let no. I just raised a Cthulhu, didn't I?
Yeah,
Probably.
I know a little
What's the
French.
button?
I surrender. But
Yeah. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. What, VR's in the house here? Did he say something? Is this a
he gave
joke
you
carrying
away.
over from VR stream that I missed? Or okay. All right. Well, with that, let's get into this. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are trying to Is it Star Trek shit? My speaking Klingon. Think of where we came from. Yeah, I was gonna say, is it a joke coming over from probably coming over from VRs? Six is in the house and sends us a pooper sticker, I bet. Knowing her.
No, just a thumbs up.
No, it's thumbs
It's
up.
a thumbs up. We'll hit that thumbs up, guys. Thank you so much. Spartanbot 1001 says Culpa WDW Pro with $2. So yeah, it's something to do. It's French Klingon. Oh my gosh, they just keep coming in.
Getting bombarded.
Tiger, that's fine with me. They're going to pay me to make me say this stuff, I guess. Tiger Valley 62 says with 14 South African rands. Mormensky Kani Bli Ni Mar. Oh, I got to say, if it's Klingon, Mar something like that. I don't know. Fuck.
Typically, though, you have to say it with an English accent.
You sounded
Right.
Scottish right there.
Yeah, a little bit.
I want to start peeling potatoes.
Randall Orser, yeah, diddly potatoes. Randall Orser says, Tom Dubrach, Berdardchun, Overset Duch, Franorsk. Something like that. That was
It's
more
mainly
German.
made up of
Are the
spitting
French-
noises.
Cormoran, sorry, sends in two Australian dollars, says, Red the Red Nuggets Valiance. Something like that.
French bat laugh. Does that mean it was
That's right.
never sliced and dropped once?
Yes.
And Wild Man
Barely
Beyond.
used.
Then Wild Man Beyond is here and he says, check out this fake AI trailer called Escape from USA with Kurt Russell. All right. Well, we'll have to check that out if we got time at the end of the show. I'll keep that in the background here. So with that, speaking of, it's time for us to get into our list. Because as we've learned here, it takes a while to get through these sometimes. So let's get started. And thank you once again
Fortunately,
to...
Kurt Russell hasn't done that many films that anyone likes.
None.
No,
None. What's up?
I was just gonna thank you, Tox, for putting this together as always here on
Thank
the
you, Tox.
weekly top 5. And this is a great picture of
This one
young
hurt. I cut myself doing this.
young Kurt Russell here.
Was
So
this
let's
his
get on
Disney
this.
Icon days?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Just looks like where he had some tennis shoes with computers, or he's strong.
Well, he did a lot of Disney films, wholesome
Yes.
type Disney films back
Yeah,
in the day. So I
super.
thought, you know what? I saw a lot of images of him really old. Like, let's pull out the blue-eyed kid that got all those roles with Disney and all the stuff they did. So
Looks like I
And
used
then
the
he played-
shot right after he kicked Elvis.
And then he played
Yeah.
a serial killer. But yeah.
he did. Yeah,
He is Santa.
Yeah.
he was Santa.
Santa's a serial killer?
Well,
Yes.
Oh no.
he's played a serial killer a couple times, hasn't he?
What do you think happens with the naughty list?
And then we got
Oh, yeah.
Shrebbles, sends in $1.99, who says, Enleves vos pids di carnad di mon di siege. I don't know. I'm just going to say the shit as you guys said it.
You're
And I
saying
read it phonetically.
French like you're a Mongolian or something.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
In Levis, Vapits,
Mongol.
All right, let's get started on this list here. We got number 5 on Tox's list right off the bat. Soldier.
Ooh, interesting,
So-
Tox.
There were a lot of films that Kurt Russell has done that we all could have picked from. And I stopped counting around 70 films that I could consider for this. So I went with one that I enjoyed. Of course, this came out in 1998. It was a difficult year for me. I was traveling a lot of stuff was happening at home and all that kind of stuff. I saw this movie with a bunch of people I didn't know while at a training session out east, and just thoroughly enjoyed the thing. And I know it may not be one of his greatest films of all time, but he was so jacked in this film. And it was very much a against the military industrial complex. This was pre 9/11 from there. And really, we had some Afghanistan stuff going on where we had come back, and instead of what the reaction was after Vietnam, we started doing celebrating our troops more and things and stuff like that. And this just kind of hit. They engineered these people. Genetics was something that was just starting to get talked about. Engineered these people to be fighters, and when they were done with them, they just tossed them away on a garbage planet. And they ended up making their own way. And in the end, this killer that has served across multiple star systems and killed countless number of people, still has a moral compass. So they couldn't engineer that and beat that and train that out of him and around the rest of his troop. Right. And they tried to do that with this new group that was coming in, and they couldn't do it with them either in the end. They all figured out, no, what's right and wrong, and you just couldn't do that. So I thought it was a good moral and a good human fiber story that no matter what you do, there's still a fairness there that's at the core of who we are.
So do you buy into the whole Blade Runner business with this one?
It's very possible.
Yes.
Oh no, it is. David
It
People
is.
was the writer of Blade Runner and this movie. And in the background of I think the first scene where they're dumping trash, you can see one of the spinner cars in the landfill. Technically, it's meant to take place in the same universe. And if you look at Kurt Russell when they flash Todd's war record on the screen, you can see things like Tannhauser Gate and a whole bunch of other references to Blade Runner
That are in there, right?
Yeah, so
Interesting.
technically it is a sidequel to Blade Runner.
And I think it happens after the Blade Runner stuff.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, maybe at the same time, but
It might be slightly I mean, because if these guys were sort of part of a eugenics program before they came up with replicants as a regular part of the landscape, this would have been like precursor to replicants. But I don't know. I'm sure they're
could
better
be a pre,
stuff, I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 5. I like.
Doesn't he have like 14 lines in this whole movie? He
does not speak. Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak. Most of them do not.
Yeah, he's got like only a couple of lines.
Well, I'm glad you had it on your list, Talks, because it almost made my list. It's such a difficult list, as you said, to pick just 5. That was on the like 6, 7, number 6, number 7 for me.
Well, and that's one of the things about me kind of going last, since I create the slides here, is I was looking at what other people had and what I enjoyed. This was always going to be in my top 5 for Kurt Russell, so I was very happy that it seems like it's in the top 15, the top 10 for some, and it just wasn't going to be at those top of the list stuff. So I was very excited that we'd be able to kick off. I put myself first because, I just did. So I actually put stuff in order in a way that really screwed over Scribe Light. So I'm really sorry about that.
Oh no.
Scribelight's just going to be all X's.
Yeah, just XXX. Like, okay, I guess I'll just wait.
I've changed that up a bit, so hopefully, I don't get as many.
Thanks for the heads up. I appreciate it. I'll just take a break. I'll go have a burger. Bye.
Not as bad as Nick's got screwed up, but I don't claim I didn't do anything for that. That just happened. So, all right, Tom, you still around? You there?
Nick's got a bunch of X's. Speaking of X's, Six did her list in the chat here for $10. Her top 5 Kurt Russell movies are
all pornos.
Does that mean she's like having like a Kurt Russell wedding
And
5 times over?
Yeah, I really disagree with the top choice there, though. I really do.
Yeah, that's
I
a little.
disagree with number 1, but 2 through 5 are good. 2 through 5 are good.
He's had better than that. Yeah.
Well, 3 is the one where he's naked in most of it. So
Yes,
I can
that's
see
true.
that.
That's why. Well, I'm surprised she didn't have that for number 1. That's why I was kind of confused here.
I mean, I know we're going to skip over me because my choice appears elsewhere, but it was such a difficult, as Talk said, it's a very difficult list
So hard.
to do. You could have 5 John Carpenter movies alone in the top 5 if you really wanted.
Look of disappointment. I like
Could
that.
have had the Guns of Diablo.
Yeah, so there were some X's in there. I said, you know what I'm going to do? This image of him from The Thing looks like he's just really disappointed. So anytime somebody's list is like, nope, somebody higher than you's got this, and so we're going to X it out.
Well, he always wanted a pet dog, and then it never worked out.
Look of disappointment. Yes. And if you notice, those are X's and O's. So hugs and kisses.
All right, moving on here. We've got Scribe Light next. This is a good one. 3,000 Miles to Graceland, a lesser known film of his.
It's not a good one. It's actually very bad, but it's so bad. It's
so bad it's good.
It's so bad. I kind of reserved number 5 as my sort of like guilty pleasure or joke slot for the time being. But yeah, 3,000 Miles of Graceland. Kurt Russell, who played Elvis in a John Carpenter TV movie, comes back to lead a heist on a casino with a group of Elvis impersonators, including Kevin Costner, Bokeem Woodbine of all people, and Courtney Cox is in this, looking probably as good as she ever looked. Honestly, there's a part of the beginning where she's getting ready for a date with him, and it's not unpleasant to watch her move around. And but it is a bloated, convoluted, ultra-violent, remorseless film, and it's one of those things that if I somehow find it's one of those movies that if you found it like playing came into the middle of it on TBS back in the day, you just sit and watch the whole thing, because why not? It's but Kurt Russell's having an absolute blast doing it. You can tell he's just having fun. Even Costner seems like he's having a good time being a bad guy, even though he's kind of wooden at it.
Scribe, I bet were probably told to not talk to each other about politics whatsoever.
Could be so. Could be so.
Honestly, aren't both him and
they're both very right. They're both very different. Very different.
I thought they were both kind of more right leaning, but all right.
Oh, not Costner, definitely not.
Oh, okay. I thought he was.
Libertarian.
Oh, is he?
Russell's a libertarian, but
Yeah.
Carpenter always said like, "Oh, him and I, we're friends. We just don't really talk about it." I see how Carpenter goes about. He just says,
Yeah, but Carpenter's a
we
full
just
on
disagree.
fucking wokey.
Oh, he
woke,
was a
man.
hit. Well, he was a hippie. Carpenter was a hippie. Yeah,
old
but he
school.
said he loves Kurt. He said that they just disagree and they're cool with each other. But Costner, yeah, they probably were told don't talk to each other because that will have gone off.
Yeah, but the cast in this is just something else. Yeah, Christian Slater, David Arquette, John Lovitz, Ice-T's in there. It's all so it's both entertaining and just how much of a mess it is. But like I say, I don't like everybody else was saying. It's very difficult to pick your top 5 Kurt Russell because like there's so many classics. So I try to think of something like, well, what do I like watching Kurt Russell in? Whether the movie itself is elevated by anything else, like it's just fun watching him operate. And there's a music video where he lip syncs to Elvis and does the whole Elvis routine for What a Night. You can find it on YouTube, I think. And his chops from portraying Elvis previously, he's got the dance down. He's still got it. That's great.
All right. Moving on here, we've got Gary with Tango and Cash.
There you go.
Great shot.
Yeah,
Don't drop
good
the soap,
one.
whatever you do.
Again,
Dude,
the number 5 slot, like you said, is reserved for the guilty pleasure. This movie's ridiculous, but it's pretty damn hilarious. It's got 2 of my favorite actors in it, and Kurt Russell's in drag, so that's pretty fucking hysterical. But
It's got one of the greatest homoerotic lines also when they're in the shower together in this movie.
yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, this movie's it's terrible. It's not a great movie. It's like 3,000 Miles to Graceland. But it's still like a dude flick.
Yes.
If it's on, you're like, fuck it, I'll crack a beer, heat up some chicken wings, and watch Tango and Cash. Also, it's hilarious, and I'm glad you got this screen cap because that's perfect.
One of my favorite lines is
Go ahead, Scribe.
Oh, I was gonna say one of my favorite lines is somebody makes a reference to Tango in there about Rambo, and he says Rambo was a pussy.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, he
the
thinks
choice-
he's Rambo. Rambo was a pussy.
The choice is either this one or him on the back of the motorcycle in drag. So I decided to go with this one. It was more of this cigarette hanging off, and all. He was just
With Terry Hatcher. Well,
Terry Hatcher on there and stuff. But
I think it's more fitting
love
than
this
anything that this is the last film of the 80s that was released in theaters.
yeah,
Really?
Yep.
when I was
The
putting
last
the list
wide
together,
release, yeah.
Mrs. Flew went over and she goes, "Somebody better had put Tango and Cash on there."
Yeah, it was
And I'm
released
like-
Christmas of 89.
Yeah,
Wow.
I always
You
thought
get
this is a
so
video
much-
game as a movie. It always felt like the boss fight at the end. They're driving through in the car sequence, and then they go in. Yeah,
Yes.
This is like the superhero team up back then.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
He's-
exactly.
I just
Yeah.
like
Yeah, this is a great one.
I like
But it
to
dealt with
think it's
class
in the
issues
same-
too. You had Cash, you had like, he's the blue collar guy, and Tango, who's like the Wall Street guy, and the clash of
It was the,
of,
it was
yeah.
the
yeah, it's
standard
great.
buddy
A lot of
cop
levels,
formula,
very leveled. Yeah,
but
Trading
Stallone and
places
Russell
with action.
yeah.
I like to think that
trading
this
places
is,
with action.
With
I like
action.
to think that this is the same universe as like Lethal Weapon and Die Hard and stuff like
Right.
that.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
what's funny
and
is
Dirty Harry.
Yeah. What's also funny is how much their characters are like the bad boys, even though they're not partners at first in the movie. But like, Mike is all rich and he's just doing it for the thrills, right? Because he's he's got rich folks. Then you got Martin Lawrence's character, who's the blue collar cop, and the family and all that business. But yeah,
Can you imagine if they did an Expendables with like combining Tango and Cash and Lethal Weapon and all that?
with the actual characters, that would
yeah.
be fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be huge.
It's a shame Bruce Willis couldn't reprise his role.
Yeah.
In there.
Oh yeah.
we need a Tango and Cash sequel now. Like before, Stallone's
Yes.
still doing action movies and stuff. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would work. That could still work. Yeah, let's
Hell
have
yeah.
it, man.
Have him dress
Tango
up
and
as
more
Dragon
Cash.
Bingo.
More Tango and Cash.
Tango and crypto.
more
Tango
cash.
and crypto.
No. You call it Tango and Cash: The Last Waltz.
Old
There you
Tango,
go.
old Tango and Cash.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving here. We've got Andy who said he's been screwed by Gary.
What?
And look of disappointment.
What is this?
Yeah,
That means
so
his
I
pick was
decided
already
to
on
say
somebody
that,
else's list.
How was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So basically, Andy's pick for number 5 was higher up on Gary's list. So ipso facto, Andy, Gary screwed you.
Sorry, man.
Always the bridesmaid.
Never a bride.
Well, it's better to get screwed by your friend than a total stranger, right?
That's
Right.
true.
That's true.
Yeah.
But when we get to it, I actually put in there that it was Andy's number 5, so that you guys can talk about it together.
Okay.
And also, it hurts more when it's a friend and they don't call you back. At least a stranger, you don't expect it.
I agree. I totally agree.
There's
I don't know. I hear that Andy and Gary talk.
Oh, here's the real sequel: Tango and Bitcoin.
That's what I said, Tango and crypto.
Tango and crypto.
That's what I said earlier, yeah.
All right, let's keep going here. We got myself, who was
This
been
is gonna
screwed by
happen a
Scribe,
lot.
Gary, and Andy.
Oh my God, a 4-way.
Jeez, it's a
getting really
4-way.
gay. This is like Toxic Tuesday.
Very
on
gay.
Sunday.
Tom's in prison.
But what's not gay is Eric Winberg sent us a $2 super chat and said he just learned something before. I think that was during
Well,
the
there
soldier
you go,
talk.
gay.
Yeah.
Oh
That
yeah,
too.
about that being Blade Runner thing. That was
Blade
good.
Runner universe, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we also have a poll going on right now, but only a third of you have voted, so we're going to leave it up for the next round here. Your favorite
I
Kurt Russell
got
character?
200 votes.
Yeah, there's over
think
almost
said only
700 people
30.
watching. I said
Oh.
only a third.
Oh,
A
okay.
third.
700.
Yeah.
Wow. Welcome.
Yeah, we
Welcome
got
to
almost
the
700
show.
watching,
Oh.
and only 200 of you have voted now. So keep voting, kids. All right.
Like.
There they
Oh, we got Nick's yet too. I forgot about Nick. His is last because he's the guest. That's right. Nick's first pick is Backdraft, the Ron
I
Howard
love
film.
this movie. Yes, Ron Howard movie. Also Donald Sutherland's in it. Robert De Niro's in it. And on the surface, you just think, okay, it's gonna be a movie on the day of a life of a firefighter, but there's a little bit more substance, a little more meat to the bone here. He's got a brother who wants to come to service, and which is hard for his character, McCaffrey, because he lost his dad, who was a firefighter as well. So now there's a whole family thing here, and then there's also a villain to all this too, who's a pyrotechnic type of guy. So I'm just gonna keep that simple for you guys. It's some might think it's a little too 15 minutes too long. Maybe it's because I grew up with it. I had no problem with it being 2 hours, and I think it's like 2:15. I think I love it the way it is. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I grew up with this movie. It probably helps that to me. I was another Barbara runtime, but I love this movie, and it really does. You really definitely feel the intensity of what's like in the firefighter life, and you get great performances of it. Really great performance. So,
Well,
go
and you get
watch
double Kurt
Backdraft,
Russell
'cause- Yo, you get Russell in, man,
because he
This
plays
movie,
his
everyone-
dad and himself in this movie.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I was trying not to. I'm trying to keep it in case people haven't seen it. But yes, if you haven't seen it, people go watch Backdraft. It feels like it's very underappreciated compared to his other ones. Like people who are diehard Russell, like yeah, hell yeah. But a lot of people are like, oh, I don't see that one. So
Well, you got Scott Glenn, you got Robert De Niro.
yeah,
it's more of
a
an
great
ensemble,
cast.
even though it is a Russell
Donald
film.
Sutherland, yeah,
there's
it's a
lot-
great cast.
The scene between De Niro, I won't give it away, but the scene between De Niro and Sutherland for the parole hearing is absolute class. It's so good, and it's brief, but the performances are so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
see, I
Sutherland's
see
great
someone
in
who
this
wrote in
movie.
the chat. I haven't seen it. See, I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for you.
It's out on 4K. Do
So-
yourself a favor.
Yeah, go buy
Yeah.
it. Seriously,
20-year-old
buy this movie.
film.
Straight up, go buy this movie. Don't download on Roku or whatever stream. Buy this. It's worth it.
And it features one of the bald ones you can give a firearm to.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the less lethal ones. Yeah. Toxic.
Yeah.
William
Toxic.
Baldwin has a better shot.
Oh my God, Andy, you had to piss off Alec Baldwin. There he is.
Shit,
Oh,
no.
Oh,
Get behind him!
Get behind Alec.
Here, hold my camera.
Is it over? Did he miss?
Oh my God.
He didn't have his finger on the trigger. We only got shot at once.
Yeah, only once. Only once. Thank God.
Oh man.
He only killed
Getting
2
older.
people with that shot.
that was the real reason I chose it, just so Toxic to have an excuse for looking.
You know what's sad is that he is actually more lethal than Charles Bronson is. That's pretty sad. I mean,
Oh, that is true. In real life.
in real life. Yeah. So yeah, let's keep moving here. Tox's number 4 is Sky High. Mrs. Flu forced me.
Oh.
Yeah, so I put Mrs. Flu forced me in there so you guys wouldn't make fun of me. I enjoyed this film quite a bit and
too.
thought he did a good job in there. I think it shows soldier to sky high. All right. The guy has been in so many films. He's done so many different parts. Backdraft. You think about the serious parts he's done. Think about the funny stuff he's done in Tango and Cash and this kind of thing from here. He doesn't take himself seriously, right? And he makes films that he wants to make. And Sky High to me is one of them. I thought it was a good, just a well-made film. I enjoyed it. My kids enjoyed it. And one of my top films that if I watch Kurt Russell, I mean, it's, there's so many movies I could mention. This is just one that Mrs. Flu and I and the kids can sit down and watch, and we'll watch with our grandkids. And just enjoyed it.
Yeah,
And I'm not
really
going to spoil it for anybody out there.
Yeah, this was actually a lot of fun. Back when superhero films were actually good, I was like, man, it would be kind of cool if they did a sequel to this. But
Oh,
now
yeah.
I'm just don't touch it. Don't touch
Yeah.
it.
Leave it alone. This was 2005. Right?
Back when superhero movies were still quaint.
Yeah.
Linda
Oh,
Carter,
Kelly Preston's in it.
This one.
God rest Kelly Preston. And yeah.
Linda Carter, the principal,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Daniel Panabaker,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
yes,
was in it.
yeah,
Yeah. So
Mrs. McGregor, and before she grew the green things out of her head.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a nice little twist at the end with that. So but yeah, 2005, good film. And I hope they don't make a sequel or try and remake it. Not now.
All right.
All right, anybody
Moving
want to fight
on.
me? All right,
Nope.
good.
I enjoyed it when it came
Oh.
out.
Yeah,
I got one
Andy's
that's on the
one I'm
list.
worried about.
Brian's got
not
one that
X-
actually made the list.
it's not
Executive
X-
decision.
Because my next 3 are all Fast and Furious movies, so that's
You know, this is one of the few Steven Seagal movies I've seen because he's not in
Well,
it very long.
so executive decision. One of the greatest things about this movie is that Steven Seagal is only in it for 10 minutes and dies. So obviously
Exactly. That is the best part of the
give it
movie.
bonus points for that.
You can't do it now because if he did it now, it would be called Deep Impact.
It was,
Oh.
well, clearly it was his bulk that caused the problem in the film in the first place. But, it's a 1996 action thriller for anyone who hasn't seen it. It's one of my guilty pleasures. I must have watched this movie, I don't know, 20 times or more. Absolutely love it. I don't know what it is I love about it, but I love it. Kurt doesn't really play an action guy in it. although he ends up on the plane, the hijacked plane, which is going to be used as a weapon, as a bomb, and they got to get a team on there using super secret stealthy stuff, and they managed to get on board this plane in the air. He leads a team of guys.
Using
but
a
he's
plane
really
as
just,
a bomb, that's so unrealistic.
yeah, but he's really just an analyst, not an action guy. And because he's using, what's great is then he has to use his brains, he has to use his team leading skills, project management skills, all this stuff to get the team who are the real guys, action guys or bomb disposal or whatever, to do the stuff that needs to be done, because Steven Seagal, who was the leader, is thankfully eliminated from the movie. So it's great. It's an action movie where he's not really an action guy in it, and he's kind of playing an everyman, and he's got a lot of charm, and it's a fun, exciting, tense movie.
I always saw this as sort of like aping a Tom Clancy story, because you've got the like Jack Ryan, the analyst, ends up in sort of an action danger situation, and I saw it in the theater, and I remember because I mean, it's one of those movies and the era that it really worked better, I think, because when I saw it, just naturally I expected Steven Seagal to be like the lead, effectively, and then suddenly he's dead, and so all of a sudden, because of the era and everything else, I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen next, and everybody is vulnerable now. If Steven Seagal is dead in the first 10 minutes, I don't even know what's going to happen next. That made it great, actually.
It's a sort of a chain of movies around about that time like that, like Air Force One, Jack Ryan movies, and all that stuff. It's kind of like one of those, but for me, it's got the charm of Kurt Russell, and it's a really great supporting cast. I mean, you got Halle Berry from the flight attendant, J.T. Walsh, the great J.T. Walsh is even in a small role in it.
Yeah,
it's a fun movie. It doesn't take itself super seriously, and it did quite well at the time. I think largely based on Kurt's appearance in it. So,
you sure it wasn't because Steven Seagal died?
Yeah,
well, everyone did get up and cheer when that happened, which was
that's the only reason I watched it. I mean, because I'm like, oh, he's in that. That's a no-go. And then I'm like, somebody told me he died in the first few minutes. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it.
It's not his movie,
Exactly.
You mean Captain Marvel dies? Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Scribelight picked Dark Blue. I vaguely remember this one. This one came out, 2001?
I think,
somewhere in there, maybe a little later.
I thought it was 99.
2001, 2002, I forget. But yeah, this one most people don't talk about and things, and I can kind of see why. It's kind of under the radar kind of deal. But this is a really interesting movie, just in concept as well as execution. It takes place just before, and it becomes a sort of a centerpiece of the story, the LA riots post Rodney King. And it deals with this LA cop, and Kurt Russell obviously has played some very well-known anti-heroes before, but this one, it's very noir. And while he's playing an anti-hero, he's not Snake Plissken, like Wall of Stone kind of thing. There's a lot of layers going on with his psychology. I won't give it all away, but it's an excellent performance. It's a kind of character it kind of rides the line between the kind of characters that Russell usually does. Ving Rhames is great in it. There's a lot of things on. It really reminds me, if you guys ever seen the show The Shield. Oh, yeah. It really the way that it's set up, and the storylines that are sort of taking place alongside each other that eventually meet up. It really reminds me of a proto Shield sort of setup. I won't say too much more, but if you haven't seen it, I really recommend you do. If you like sort of much more subtle performances out of Kurt Russell and something a bit more grounded with a lot of intrigue and things. This is a really good movie, but it doesn't get talked about all that much.
One of the reasons I picked Vin Rhames, this particular one, is because Vin Rhames was in it. And I thought Vin Rhames did a really good job with this. I think sometimes he's an underappreciated actor.
Yeah, in this, he doesn't play the heavy. He plays...
So this was your number 5? So this was your number 5 then, Tox? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh.
The reason I picked the image that I did.
Yeah.
because it had Ving Rhames in it.
Yeah, Ving Rhames was playing pretty much at this point in his career, I think, was playing against type because he was the straight-laced police, either commissioner or something, or deputy commissioner or something.
Right.
And yeah, not like I say, and just seeing him in that role and seeing his range as compared to like Pulp Fiction, where I'd probably first seen him or really noticed him. Yeah, great
Yeah,
flick.
Pulp Fiction, he was more there. Yeah, in this, he was a different type, and I think he doesn't get his Mission Impossible gigs.
Mission Impossible was 97,
97,
98?
right? So
yeah,
I think
it was a couple years before this.
one.
Yeah,
he doesn't get
96
this
first
gig
one.
without what he played in Mission Impossible. That's what I meant to say.
He was also kind of a lovable goof in oh god, I keep forgetting the damn name of it. It has Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney in it.
Out of
Out of
sight.
sight.
Out of sight.
Out of
Out
sight.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
yeah,
he's hilarious in that because he's George Clooney's partner, but he keeps telling his sister before they do anything, and she always ends up calling the cops on them before they do things, so they always get busted because he always feels guilty, so he tells his sister. So George is like, "Don't tell your sister before we do the job this time." So he's like just an innocent in that sense, but like, yeah, no, that's another one I remember him in before that was a little different than the Pulp Fiction role. But otherwise, yeah, before that he played like the same kind of roles. He was always like the gangster or the Pulp Fiction type guy, or I remember in People Under the Stairs, he was also kind of a gangster in that one too. But yeah. All right. Gary has used cars.
Wow, nice.
You know, I mean, I'm sure everybody pretty much knows this movie was not a huge success, but you know, it's one of the. I think it was the second movie that was produced by Steven Spielberg and then directed by Robert Zemeckis as a kind of a team, and was one of the precursors that ended up getting Back to the Future made.
Yeah.
But this movie, yeah, I liked this movie because this was kind of the first time we saw Kurt Russell as this kind of goofy, slimy kind of character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is way against type for him at that time. Yeah,
it was kind of a breakout role for him, and it's a fucking hilarious movie. It's really, really funny. I like it a lot. I always
best parts when they hijack the television feed. What is it, during the football game or whatever?
They're blowing up the cars and shit and putting the strippers on the fucking cars. It's a great movie. It's a super like, you know, toxic male type movie, but yeah, this one's good. It's funny. You know, he's really funny for an action hero, for a guy who's so, you know, like hard edged and straight laced. He's a funny motherfucker. He makes me laugh, man. You know, there's a couple other movies that are going to be on other people's lists, I'm sure, that are even funnier than this movie, but you know, he is funny. He's funny as hell.
Yeah. And I like that Tox put on here that this was Andy's number 5. So go ahead, Andy, and talk about used cars.
Well, there's lots of other people that are in this too that are like background characters and stuff. Like Joe Flaherty's in this and plays his usual slimy kind of SCTV guy. It's a lot of fun. It's one of these things that, like, when you think of Kurt Russell, people don't realize, like Tox was saying, the versatility and range that he's got in the parts that he chooses is, you can't predict what he's going to do. Like he's never been typecast because he can pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, even from like, you know, hardened killers to like, you know, goofball comedy roles like this. And when he's doing his sales pitch and what he really wants to do is be a politician, I mean, it's the same thing. He's hysterical.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of fun. If you haven't seen this, like, you go back and check this out. An older movie, but this is back when things were fun. They would just come out and they'd be fun.
I remember it was on cable constantly.
Yeah. It was a cheap film for them to run on like Fox. When
WGN, I remember it being on all the time
WGN,
too.
Yeah. You had all those super channels and TBS and all that stuff ran on there. But
they would run it endlessly. But
I
it's
believe
a funny
him
film.
in this film, and that's the point. And he is so versatile because he takes on any role. You believe him when he's in it.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like at this point he had only done like the Disney movies, Elvis, I think. And I don't think he'd played anything beyond that kind of stuff to where this was completely against his type.
Totally against character, right? from what he done, because he was a Disney darling.
Yeah.
From there. So, yeah. Great film.
All right, keep moving. We've got
Cue
Andy
Tom.
next with Captain Ron.
Good.
Watch out for those
This
gorillas,
is
boss.
This is like a
awesome.
forgotten Kurt Russell movie, man. Like
I love
Disney refuses to release this thing for some
Funny,
reason.
my wife mentioned this
Well, it's
one
got
on her
new in it.
list. Yeah.
This was almost number 5 for me. I'm so glad you chose this one, Andy.
Go
This is
ahead,
great.
Andy.
Well, I kind of cheated like Tox did. I kind of waited till everybody else was putting their list in. And this is hard because I was trying to, like, there's things that I really want to put in as my favorites, but also there's a lot of things that could slip through the cracks that are really great performances. This is like, when you contrast this to something like Dark Blue, he's just off the hook, hysterical, goofy. And my favorite scene in this whole thing is when the daughter comes down and says, like, I think the captain's dead, and he takes his eye patch and puts it over his real eye and has his glass eye showing, and they're like poking him and stuff like that. And he gets that eye perfectly, like, doesn't move it. Holy shit, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He gets up and he's like, "Whoa!" Like, then he goes the one scene where he goes down. He's the parents are Martin Short and Mary Kay Placer in the shower. He comes up and, like, the little kids, what was that all about? Nothing important. There's your parents playing hide the salami. Oh, and you owe me $2.50 for that beer.
He was a real I don't give a rat's ass about how you feel society should be kind of thing in this. It was just really, I got my boat, I got my life, I don't have to deal
He's
with
a
you kind of
Florida
people.
man on a boat.
Yeah.
Hey, do we know what Ron's last name is in the film?
Rico, Ron Rico.
Oh,
Rico?
Because, I was
I
thinking
never
maybe
knew he had a last name.
it could literally be Snake Plissken pre-apocalypse. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, like he was all like mellowed out and chill, and then shit went wrong, and he snapped, and then he went to rob the bank in Atlanta and got thrown in the New York penitentiary. I like to think that that's the storyline.
This picture here, the eye patch is actually over his left eye, the whole thing. So I wonder if they flopped the picture.
Oh, I
On
did.
purpose?
I flipped.
You did on
I
purpose.
flipped this one. Yeah.
I was
to
gonna say,
get
is
him
it
on
the same
right
eye
side.
he usually has for Snake, or is it the opposite? I can't remember. Yeah.
Same eye, I believe.
Yeah, it's the same eye.
Ah,
I flipped
okay.
this, so that's a left-right transpose there.
Got ya. All right. Anybody else got anything to say about
1992. It's a
Captain
great
Ron?
film.
It's a great, hilarious
I'm
movie.
just
If
happy
you
that-
guys haven't seen it, man, check it out.
Don't
I'm
let
just
this
happy
one
that
memory hole you. It's one of those
Yeah.
ones that's almost feels like a forgotten about movie, almost like a Midnight Run or a Black Rain. It's a movie that is
Black Rain. Oh,
yeah, I know, right? That's another one of those movies like few people know about it, but yet so many don't matter. You can have people like, oh, I feel like I saw a poster for that or I saw a commercial for that. This is one of those movies. Don't let this one be forgotten about because yes, you're right. Modern Disney has tried to bury this one, much like they try to bury Revenge of the Nerds. So.
I'm just glad that many of my 6 through 10 choices are appearing in others' top 5s. So I feel
Oh, I
better
know,
about
right?
Not
Same,
having them in mind.
yeah.
It was tough. It was tough doing this list. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of, let's keep going. We've got myself, who was screwed again by Nick, 70s, and Gary.
Well, at least you get some variety in your positions, sexual positions.
Get
Here.
screwed all over the place here. Y'all could have took me to fucking dinner first, at least.
So hold up. That means we swapped out Scribe and then we brought in 70s to screw you.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
I guess I just haven't met the right man yet.
Well, you've not looked them in the eye, that's for sure.
I hope I figured it out. I hope I figured it out though before I'm all stretched out. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
Someday your prince will come.
Nick was also screwed by Scribe in 70s, so I wasn't alone in this.
Hey.
Oh.
There's going to be a lot of that from now on, I think.
There's a lot of
in these
Tango and
lists.
Cash kind of vibe going on.
Don't drop the soap. Do not drop the soap.
And only half of you have voted yet, so I'm leaving this thing up again. Only half of you have voted. Keep voting, guys.
I think there's some people having trouble seeing it. It's that problem we've had for a
Maybe
few weeks.
refresh.
Yeah,
Try
it
that.
just doesn't show the choices.
Yeah, I got 342 votes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
only
needs more
half.
votes, guys. Come on, there's no 3 a.m. ballot dumps involved with this, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be.
Yeah,
I hope we're not up till 3 a.m.
All right. So speaking of that, let's keep moving along then. We got Tox coming up next with the computer that wore tennis shoes.
Old school.
Old school. So this is the stuff that I watched. Sundays they'd have the Mickey Mouse Club, and growing up do that. We'd watch this and Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins. And I will stay in the boat while Philippe goes down and tries to castrate the pissed off squid. Yeah, I always love those nature shows and stuff, Jacques Cousteau and everything. So this one just represents to me all the stuff that he did that I watched as I was growing up. The Disney films. He did tons of there was The Strongest Kid in the World. He did this. He did he do Night on Witch Mountain? There's just tons of these Disney films that he did. The Elvis thing, all that kind of stuff, right? And this one, the premise is he basically gets electrocuted while next to a computer in 1969 and becomes a human computer. And they end up going on and winning he becomes a worldwide celebrity, and he wins a television quiz to save his college. Okay. And then he loses his mental abilities over time, becomes normal again. And, but during the game, and he finally he is able to answer the last question and everything, and everybody's happy. It's got a nice, fun little Disney film from the time. And one thing that I do want to bring up is this also has playing Angelo a guy named Bing Russell. That is his dad.
Oh, it's his dad,
right?
yeah.
So Bing Russell was an actor and owned a Class A minor league baseball club.
Mm-hmm.
He's the father of Russell, and he's the grandfather of ex-Major League Baseball player Matt Franco. So it just hit. He had a pedigree from his dad being not just an actor, but he was a small businessman, right, and running a AA club. And I think his acting career, taking what came up, make whatever from it. I think there's something to be said from what he learned from his dad, being in the business, being a small businessman, and working for that. So, but yeah, so Bing Russell was in that. It was great. One of the ones I remember growing up, and any of these that you catch where he's in any of these shows and these Disney stuff from here, I mean, it's not going to be, it's 90 minutes, right? So it's an hour and a half. You'll probably catch it on, streaming service or one of those. I caught this stuff on those super networks, TBS and all that stuff when they were there. So, but a good, nice, wholesome set. That's where he came from. And some wacky comedy.
His smile reeks of old Disney too. You look like,
does.
okay, I can see why they got this guy. He has the old school Disney, like that look that he has at home. That he looks like he's like your they say like your mom's apple pie. He's an all American good boy. I was just like, yep, that's Disney.
Well,
right
Annette Funicello was doing and my mom's favorite was Annette Funicello, and she was doing the beach movies, right? So you had the whole beach culture going on, which my dad was into that.
Yeah.
And then you had the preppy kind of culture thing going on against that, what he was doing out here. But yeah, if he hadn't been doing these films, we wouldn't have had all these things that we've had that we're talking about tonight. He wouldn't have done his
Toxic. I'm assuming you've seen Battered Bastards of Baseball documentary.
Yes.
About with Bing Russell and his team. Yeah,
Bing Russell and
really
that
good.
there.
It's really good. Yep.
That's a great call out. It just, there's more to Kurt Russell than the movies we see. I'm just going to say that, from his family and all that stuff, and him and Goldie Hawn still being together, and their kids and all that other stuff, and the businesses he does and all those kind of things from there. So very interesting person. And it seems his family was pretty cool. So, and Cesar Romero was in this. I love Cesar Romero. So, and Sid Cesar Romero, all those kind of comedians. I just, and here's Cesar Romero, who's doing all the straight films and all that, acting and stuff from at the drama stuff, and he comes in here and he does more comedic stuff. It was really a lot of fun.
Kurt Russell is the case that every parent of a child actor envisions before they run into Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Corey Feldman or whichever. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to think his dad wasn't going to let that happen.
Right.
Right. That's pretty much what it was.
The Howards, Ron and Clint's dad was the same way too.
Yeah.
Like he made sure that, that they were pretty sheltered. And not only that, they had their own money and they understood, the business and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Ed Begley Jr. was in this too.
Yep. Yeah, he was a young actor too originally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You drive an electric bike?
Was that him in this? No,
I think so.
I don't
know.
No, I think he was riding a bicycle, but I think they all did back then. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right,
I know he's collecting rainwater.
We've got
those guys for the electric car way back when.
We got a 70s rock fan with Sheep Lover 7.
That's my favorite Fast and Furious movie. Yes. I don't think I'm going to get any of this top three.
Nope.
I'm not going to get any of them.
You're not getting anything. So no. I decided to make up film names that I know you've seen.
7's a bit much. I think 6 was my favorite, really.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I always thought 4 was the one that had the better story.
7,
Dude,
yeah.
Doesn't it get sticky and nasty messing with all that fur after 7 of them?
Mm-hmm. Well, Sheep Lover 2, Another You, was really the franchise there. Sorry.
All right, so evidently this is on somebody else's list.
You complete me,
on somebody else's list.
You complete me.
Yes.
Man,
I'm not going to get to talk about any now from this point on because they're all popular ones.
You got screwed so much here. I did put it on the other ones, so yeah. I was like, okay.
Scribe gets a bone.
Scribbles has Bone Tomahawk. This is one I haven't seen yet, but I have it.
Oh, it's so good. All right, so a $2 million budget, first time director, Western horror. And Kurt Russell and an ensemble cast of really great actors, and it just knocks it out of the park. It is absolutely amazing, and I love it. It's real, it's brutal. It doesn't pull any punches with the circumstances or the villains in this. There's a lot. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of levels to each of the characters, and no one is safe. That's the great thing about this movie, amongst other things. We talked about executive decision earlier. No one is safe, and so you're always like not sure what's going to happen next. And it's probably one of the most effective. I mean, I know that Western horror is kind of a small subgenre, but it might be the top up there as far as I'm concerned. And Kurt Russell just does an absolute knockout performance in this. And for the budget, it really is character driven. And that's what the great thing about it is that you can see that, it's not a flashy movie. There's not a lot of, CGI or anything like that. It's all very bare bones, which means that the story and the events really have to be driven home by the performances, and they are. And I cannot recommend this more highly, save for, of course, my number 2 and number 1 picks, but especially just for an all-around cult classic. Yeah, Bone Tomahawk, watch it. It's great.
I've never even heard of this movie, let alone.
It's amazing. I
want to check this out.
This is 2015. I mean, it's been out a while. I mean, like I say, it's very cult classic. And
$2 million budget.
It's a pretty brutal movie. It's good. Yeah.
Well, that's why I picked, and that's the point, 70s. That's why I picked this Image. It is a brutal film.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't think anyone except Kurt Russell, maybe there's a few others, but Kurt Russell, I think, is what really got this film. He's the only one, in my opinion, could have played this part.
He sells it because his character is so, peaceful warrior, world weary, and yet pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't want to give too much away, and I know I'm gushing, all things here, but really, I mean it. This is, if you have not seen this, whether you're a Kurt Russell fan or not, if you just like horror, or want to see something just off the relative beaten path, it's great.
Gary, I think you need to see this film.
Oh, I'm gonna
You
go
haven't
check
seen
it out for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check it
I
out.
think it's
immediately.
well worth a watch.
This was great. Yeah.
It's gruesome.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is a very gruesome film. But
Yeah,
you
I
know
gotta
what?
check it out yet too.
You can do gruesome on a budget.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean,
do it
again,
well.
practical effects, and not. They don't go for gore. They go for horror, and it's so good. Anyway, I'll stop now.
Right.
No, you're fine, man. It's your
Yeah,
movie.
This is a good film.
Let's keep moving then. We've got Gary next with Screwed by Tom.
Oh boy, finally.
I've never
you
seen
turned
that
into
one.
favor.
Now Tom gets to be the screwer. Wow.
That's right.
I'm the
baby.
How's that feel,
screwer.
Tom?
Yeah.
It's my
Tom's
turn to
fantastic.
catch.
Exhilarating.
You dropped yourself there, buddy.
Gary's got a nice ass.
I certainly
all.
do. Moon River.
You
What's
want
the whole fist, Doc? You ever been to prison?
Tom's bone tomahawk is kind of brutal, Gary. So watch out. Hey.
Yeah. I'll show you the bone tomahawk. All right, so let's keep going here. We got Andy who picked Tequila Sunrise. I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen
Andy,
this one. I
good job.
think I have.
Not
For
this
some
one.
reason,
My
I think
wife-
I have, but I don't. I don't know.
Andy, my wife picked that one in her top 5.
Must be
Andy,
the
I'm so
wet
glad
hair.
you did.
It's the wet hair 70s.
Good job.
It's a
This
good
is a
one.
great pick.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so Mel Gibson,
good
Kurt
movie.
Russell, good friends growing up. Mel Gibson gets busted. Kurt Russell becomes a cop. Mel Gibson spends a couple years in a Mexican prison, makes friends with this guy who becomes a leader, the most notorious drug dealer in all of Mexico. And it's a Kurt Russell has to try and get it. You throw in Michelle Pfeiffer looking absolutely stunning. There are some of the best lines in cinema history, as far as I'm concerned. Like most of them done by Raul Julia, when he says things like, "Friends are the only things we can choose. You can't choose your family, and no man should be condemned for which way his dick points, because that would be like getting angry at a compass for pointing north." Mel Gibson sorting cocaine off a tortilla chip. J.P. Wall. Yeah, this is it's a Robert Towne film. It's a little convoluted the way things happen, but it's I enjoy it a lot. I really like the performances in it. Everything, everybody's very believable, very emotional. You can kind of you can see the acting behind the expressions in the parts that they have with it. Michelle Pfeiffer just knocks it out of the park with her performance. Kurt Russell, you can't quite peg him down, and he has a great line in this where he's talking about his being torn over his friend and the people he works with, and how he really likes his friend and he doesn't like the people he works with. So it's really a good movie, in my opinion anyway. And some great cinematography too, like the way some of the shots come in. They're very atmospheric.
it's really this is a film I was going to put in my top 5. I've watched this a lot, and the soundtrack to this, I still have it from the original CD that I bought when this came out. There's a song on here that is one of my top 5 songs of all time, by Crowded House, called Recurring Dream. It is one of my favorite. You've got Duran Duran on that soundtrack. You've got Crowded House. You've got The Church. You got Bobby Darin. So Bobby Darin's Beyond the Sea. Love that song. And this movie, this soundtrack really got me into diving down into Bobby Darin's life and music and things and stuff like that around it. And it just, great film. David Grusin does some of the stuff in the music here and the theme and everything, but the music really goes along with the film. And Mel Gibson and Kurt Russell, I wish we could have seen more of them on screen.
Oh, right. That's
I just wish we could have seen more of that combination. And Michelle Pfeiffer can act. She's in that oh, what's the one with of course. Yep, I've drawn a blank. But one of a very suspenseful film that she does with Han Solo. Can't remember his name.
What Lies Beneath.
Yeah, What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
That's it. What Lies Beneath.
Wow.
Just she's so good in that, and she's so good in this. You can just tell she was more than just a pretty face. She could act, and just a great film. And Andy, I'm so glad you picked this one.
There's something else too that back then a lot of people thought Ari Gross and Arliss Howard were the same person, and they appear in the same film together, so it proves they're not.
They're not.
Wow.
But good film. And like I say, I still have the soundtrack. Loved it. And Tom, want to go on the next?
Yes, I am still here. We have myself with number 3, also on Gary's list, Overboard, where Kurt plays Mr. Dean Prophet to his lovely life partner, I guess we'll call it, because I don't think they're married yet to this day. Nope. And yeah, this is just one of those funny ass movies. It feels like a classic Hollywood romance movie. It almost feels like a movie that it's a remake, right? It feels like we should have had this movie all along. It just has this great premise to it that works so well for a romantic comedy like this. And Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, I mean, obviously their chemistry is amazing. I mean, the two of them together are just so damn funny and charming, and you can tell why you can tell they're a couple when you get near the end of the movie, especially. Like, you can genuinely feel that these two are in love with each other. And the comedy just ensues through the idea that Dean Prophet is this, widower who's trying to make ends meet as a blue collar carpenter. And he gets hired to do some work on this bougie rich bitch's boat. And when he gets screwed over in the job and finds out that she has been found with amnesia, he gets this harebrained idea to work her off to get the money she owes him by having her come and watch his kids and clean his house. But of course, by the end they fall in love. Spoilers, but no, it's just a great
kids.
Yeah, the kids are great. It's just a great classic comedy, and it's just got some wonderful one-liners and moments. And it just only works because Kurt Russell's such a charming guy. Because granted, I mean, if he'd have been anybody else, this movie wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Let's be real. It hinges completely on the fact that this guy is, even though he chooses to do this very horrible thing to this person, he genuinely is not a bad guy at heart. And I think that's what helps. But Gary, go ahead. I'm curious to hear what you say about this.
This movie is a very charming, funny comedy. He's this guy, Kurt Russell, man. Again, this is just another part of his. I'm trying to choose another word other than diversity. But his
range.
Yeah, there you go. Range. Yeah. Very. He's very, very charming and hilarious in this movie. Very believable. Yeah, it's interesting that he has his wife or his almost wife in this role. I really like this movie. There's not really any particular reason other than, this is not my type of movie. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck about these kind of movies, but this movie is great because Kurt Russell and Goldie
it's one of the best chick flicks of all time.
Yeah,
hands down.
Tom likes it because he's very gay.
Yeah, I can watch this movie and not feel all estrogened out,
It's the type of movie you could watch because Kurt Russell is in it. It's still very much Kurt Russell, but in a chick flick. So you do get that Kurt Russell is to balance out the estrogenness of it. And good choice, Tom. This would probably been like number 8 or 9 for me had we had done like a top 10. This would have been around there for me. Good choice.
I love the scene where he gets her back and he's telling her that she's his wife and she has amnesia, and pulls out this shirt. Like, I fit in this? Like, well, you lost a lot of weight, honey.
Yeah, and then he yells at the kids, and so he's like, I told you guys to get her some clothes. Yeah, but you didn't say what size.
The kids are really unsung here. All of them really played a good
Great
part of this.
actors,
Yeah.
yeah.
They really were.
The
And
casting's perfect in
yeah.
this movie. Really,
It is.
really good.
100%. The guy,
Yeah.
oh, was it Eggbait? No, who
Edward Herman.
Edward Herman. Edward
Yeah.
Herman played her husband. Great.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with her dad. She just sits there and she keeps going ba 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 ba. Hey, honey,
yeah.
honey, are you okay? Ba, 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 ba.
But yeah, this is a great, wonderful film. And their daughter, she did one with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, yeah.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or whatever from there. That kind of has that same vibe.
Very similar
Yeah.
vibe, yeah.
To that and everything. And I know I can go to a film. I can go see this film with Mrs. Flew, and we can just have a good time for 90 minutes to an hour and just laugh, about this kind of stuff. And they spoiler alerts. If you haven't seen this film, come on. They end up together in the end, and it's a happy ending, and
I love that
everybody
she-
gets satisfied and all that stuff. You go.
She thinks the one kid's retarded because he talks like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
A special child?
Special. Yeah. But,
You gotta love a movie where you can throw your wife overboard and
Well,
Marty
that's the
Robert
thing is it
Wagner.
only works because Edward Herman's that much more of a dick, right?
oh yeah,
Because he actually shows up and leaves her there, and he actually sees that on TV. Like, that's the only reason it works.
yeah.
And they remade this a couple years back, and of course, I don't think anybody saw it.
No.
I mean, literally nobody.
Nor should they.
Nor should they. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awful. But,
Yeah, I didn't even
see
bother.
this film, and if you wonder what everyone was talking about Kurt and Goldie, this is it. And I mean, Goldie Hawn was in Laugh-In, right?
Yep.
These are two people that knew the Hollywood game, played it right, and they are still together.
Well, this was a big hit for them because this was them at their peak, right? You had
Right.
Goldie fresh off of shit like Wildcats and Private Benjamin. I mean, he's coming off of like Big Trouble in Little China and, all that kind of stuff in that era. So, I mean, yeah,
They
these
probably
two were at
walked
their
in the
prime.
studio execs and they said, "We want to make this film," and they went, "Whatever you want." Right? That's to
That
me,
or it
that's
was
how
a
I
Goldie
see it.
Hawn. I was thinking maybe it was a Goldie Hawn vehicle, and she's the one who said, "Well, this is the
I
one."
want him to do this. We're going to do
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah.
Because she could write her ticket at that point right there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, you could probably argue she was probably a bigger star than him at that point. To be honest with you,
Probably. I mean, well, they had the pedigree. Like I said, she was doing Laugh-In back in the 60s. He was doing Disney films. And they were, it really is, that people talk about Hollywood world, that kind of stuff. It kind of is that. And you really didn't know a whole lot about their private life.
the fact that they've been
Kept
together
themselves.
this long also is a testament because
I didn't know
they've
they
been
were
together
still
now.
together.
I think they are, as far as I know, and they've been
Wow.
together since
They
like
are still
86 or
together.
87 or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
they are.
I
Yeah.
thought it was even longer than that. Was it like 85 or 84?
It might have been a little earlier than that, but I know they were already together by this time, but I don't think they had been together very long. And there was always that ongoing joke whenever they would present together at the Oscars that Kurt would pretend like he was going to propose to her, and then they would kind of back off on it. They did it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it was funny.
83 is what Grand says. That yeah.
Longer than I was off. I was like, probably 85, 84. Wow, 83. So you're talking.
Okay, they did
40
Swing
years.
Shift together. I was trying to remember what movie
Yeah.
they did prior to that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Swing Shift's a little bit of it's kind of creepy in that guys are all fighting in World War II and this guy's like banging the wives and stuff like that, but you still like him in that because he's Kurt Russell. That's one of my problems with a lot of these films is like it's what I did not like about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is because I hate seeing Kurt Russell as a bad guy because I like him so much. He does a great job.
But he's so
as a
good
bad
in it
guy.
though.
Oh yeah. When he did the Grindhouse film where he was like, the psycho, I mean, he was great, but you still like him. That's the problem. I mean, it's not a problem, but he's just Kurt Russell.
Well, and I think that's important why he was a great choice for Ego because you kind of have to like the character for most of the movie because otherwise you see it right away and Gamora doesn't seem so paranoid right off the bat otherwise. So it kind of works that well. But no, I get you. So yeah, but anything else to say, Gary, about Overboard before we move on?
No, man, we covered it. Let's do it.
I think so. Jim Dandy to the rescue. Nick was screwed by me. Andy in 70s again. 70s just wants to get up in your shit.
Dude, I got
swap.
screwed by 3 old dudes.
So it's just a
Experience.
normal
I don't
weekend
think
for
Andy's
you,
that
then.
old.
And then he's like, "Oh, you just got screwed by 3 experienced dudes." So
That's
now,
right.
so I get some veteran dicking. So
So you should appreciate it.
Ageist.
Right now, Nick's regretting the invention of Viagra.
Oh yeah, he is. There it is. Man, doesn't Andy ever just? Oh, and he works out too. God, this is gonna hurt.
This is going to last for 4 hours at least.
What? Andy's middle name is Priapus.
All right, back to the top of the list now.
Oh, good choice.
Toxic Man flew
So good.
with the Christmas Chronicles, and while he's doing that, talk about the movie. I'm going to end the poll, and we're going to start a new one.
So this, I like Christmas films, Santa, all that stuff. Been watching a long time. Blah blah blah. The Santa Claus, great film. I like that. I saw this at Netflix with Mrs. Flew, and this is one of the rare 10 out of 10s for me. Just message of hope. The elves were cute, and he playing Santa Claus, I believed it, right? And only Kurt Russell could have pulled off this film the way it was done. So one of my, probably a top 20 film for me. And we watch it. There's 3 of them. I've watched them all, but this is the best. And yeah, Santa has problems. Kids gotta need Christmas spirit. It's the same story, right? That you've heard and seen before. Their take on the elves, these little fuzzy guys, they're kind of like Ewoks, and it's just great how all that worked out. And in this movie, that is how I imagined the North Pole to be like when I was growing up. And that's what hit me. This is what I imagined Santa and the workshop and the elves and all that stuff to be. So I still watch this film. It 2018, so it's only been out for about 5-6 years. But I'll watch it. Watch this. I'll watch the second one. And
Tox.
yeah.
When you first saw us, did you have like a reserve hint of skepticism just because it was on Netflix? Because I remember like hearing at the time that there was a Kurt Russell Santa movie. I thought to myself, oh, that sounds awesome. But then I thought, oh, that was on Netflix. I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound as exciting. But then one of my friends who I really valued her opinion, she's like, no, watch this. I had to like really be convinced to watch because this is like, are you sure? Like, are you just going gaga because you like Kurt Russell type of thing? She's like, no, it's actually good. I saw this. I was like, holy damn, this is fucking excellent.
So
and yeah, I try to watch every Christmas season.
Watching it. So we were watching something else on Netflix. This was up there as something to watch. So we, they have the preview, right? So we were watching the preview, and I said, "Oh, that's in Chicago." So we knew where some of the stuff was. It's just okay around here. We'll give it a chance. But him in that Camaro,
yeah,
that was it. I saw that. I'm like, I'm watching this film. That's done. I'm okay. That's it. That's Santa to me is not some fat jolly guy. Santa's a guy that can get shit done, right? And that's what this Santa was. And Santa's a guy that's going to be cool if he's driving a car. Santa wants to go fast, and that's what this Santa was to me. I saw him in that. I was like, done. We're going to watch it, and we did, and I've never regretted it. So, anyone else want to talk about while Tom's messing around?
I like this one. I didn't know there was a third one. I'll have to check that
there's
out.
a third one.
Yeah.
When does that come? Second one came out 2020, and the third one is on its way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Kurt Russell and Mel Gibson, 2 of my favorite actors, both playing Santa Claus. A little bit different take on it, but I really like both of them. This is a lot of fun, and I really like the cameo of Mrs. Claus coming in, who is Goldie Hawn at the
Yes.
very
Yeah.
end. So, sorry, spoilers for the 5-year-old movie if you haven't seen it. And Christmas, like, get on it. But yeah,
Yep.
it was fun. I like the action scenes, and like it's kind of almost like a little heist movie. Like I got to get the hat back and everything. So it's a lot of fun. And a lot of this crap that you're used to seeing on like Hallmark and stuff like that, that's all sappy and stuff. This is something you can actually watch with the kids and like.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of the people in it is Kimberly Paisley. She was in Father of the Bride and a couple of things. Mrs. Flew likes her as an actress. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it, see it. It's really it's worth the time.
I think Chris Columbus directed at least the first one, didn't he? I thought.
No, this was not. This one was Clay Catris.
Maybe he did do the second one then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But no, I haven't seen these yet.
He's done
But
the second one.
there have always been ones that were kind of on my list to check out.
You're
for the
right.
holiday.
He
I
did,
just
no,
haven't-
Chris Columbus did the second one.
Okay.
Did the second. And
Those who don't know
rumors
who
of the
Chris
third.
Columbus is, he's the guy who directed Harry Potter and Home Alone, and he also wrote Gremlins
The second one was
Goonies
good too.
too.
and Goonies. He was one of the co-writers on Goonies as well. Yeah.
The second one has more Goldie Hawn in it. There's more interaction and stuff from there. So.
Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
All right, let's keep moving here, guys. We're doing pretty good on this list so far. Oh yeah, that reminds me. We got a couple more here on this. Or we just started the top of this, right? Okay, so our poll, because we got a new one up, so vote on the poll. But your favorite Kurt Russell character was Snake Plissken barely beating out Jack Burton at 47% to 43%. Then Cash came in with 6%, and Dean Prophet only got a lousy 2%. You guys are mean.
Yeah, but Snake Plissken, come on.
I knew Snake was gonna win. I was a
Come on,
given.
that's one of the greatest.
I was
characters.
surprised Jack did as good as it did, actually.
Oh, dude,
I bet
it's a great character.
If you poll like the
Obviously-
demographics of the chat, it's 90% men, and Snake Plissken
Yeah.
is like he's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one-eyed snake.
Peeping in the seafood store.
Oh, you guys never picked up on that joke before? It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
He's the
Oh,
one-eyed snake, and he's got the snake coming up right up above his dick. Come on. It's one big dick joke.
Yep.
But anyway, keep moving here. We've got 70s rock fan who's next to him, Shorn Sheep 2,
Who knew Guns of Diablo would be on so many lists?
which reminds me, this was sent to us by a core member who always does a great job with the memes. Here we go. The Kurt Russell Dolly classic, You and Me. Simple Man and His Sheep. Co-starring
You were
Brian.
made for me.
Wow, 70s.
You guys are just ovinophobes. You're all ovinophobes.
That's quite the lovely sheep you got in your hand.
Oh, stroke it, baby. Stroke it.
Sheep fucker.
I'm calling the Humane Society.
It's... I know that sheep abused me. It wasn't my fault. She came on to me.
Oh, poor Brian, once again, has one that's on somebody else's
Hey,
list in a different
so
order.
Guns of Diablo, I'm telling you, that's what it is.
Okay.
It definitely is.
And then Scribe got screwed over by 70s.
Oh,
So this is like Monopoly here all of a sudden.
Some kind of Eiffel Tower thing going on here. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
you a long-
definitely men
Oh, yeah.
being men with men.
I think they
another
like you
guy.
guys getting screwed in the chat. Look at that.
Well, they do. Well, think about it. Scribe got this far without getting screwed. Now he's
I
finally
know.
overdue dip.
I dodged you all.
You guys are dodging.
Oh, not this time. Face
Gary
will
got screwed by Nick.
Oh my god.
Lord, I thought I
Notice
felt
the
draft.
that Gary-
I have a feeling we're going to be talking about the same 3 movies for the next 20 minutes.
Notice
here.
that Gary's
I
only,
did go for the obvious.
yeah.
I did go for the obvious
Whoa.
ones. Yeah.
Gary's only
Yes.
being screwed by single men. So he
Single
has
men.
taste in class.
Yes,
there you
in
go.
class.
Everybody else is taking multiple guys.
They might
Alright.
take you out. Okay, so I actually have something different.
Oh.
My number 2 is Hateful Eight. I know this is not one of Tarantino's more popular ones, but I love his character in this, the Hangman, and I love the fact that even after he's dead, he is still a major character in the film, because that's the whole last, quarter of the film is they'll be damned if they're not going to make Daisy Domergue hang, because when the hangman gets you, you hang. And I love this movie. It's I get it. It's basically Reservoir Dogs in a cabin. I'm not going to deny that, but I love it. I think Kurt Russell's amazing in it. I just love him in the role. And I don't know if you guys enjoy the film or not. I definitely would recommend seeing the extended cut on Netflix if you haven't.
I haven't watched this yet.
It's a great one.
It's a good film. Yes, but the thing is, to say it's not one of Tarantino's best is you're still talking about a really good film, right? There's not too many films he's done that have been awful.
No,
directed. So, I mean, you're talking about the Kill Bills, you're talking about...
But I just didn't... I understand that a lot of people don't consider this one of his better films. That's all. I'm just admitting that
I get it. But, I mean, it's got some powerful acting in it. And you're right. Kurt Russell pulls this off to the point that he's still in the film after he's dead. So...
Spoilers for those who hadn't seen it, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, well, you said that.
I did. I didn't think about it for a minute. I'm like, oh, shit, yeah. Because it doesn't happen until like halfway into the movie. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about films and not talk about some of these things, especially films that are older.
Well,
so,
and if you've seen Reservoir Dogs, I kind of ruined it too, because you kind of know how Reservoir Dogs ends.
Right. Well, it's a Tarantino film. Everybody dies.
Everybody dies.
It's pretty much how Tarantino does his stuff. So,
but it's a great film.
This was a good pick, really.
The basic storyline is, as I said, the hangman, played by Kurt Russell's, taking a prisoner to hang, and they get stranded on a mountain with 6 other people, I should say, because there's 2 there. And everybody there is basically lying to them except for maybe 1 or 2 people, and they got to figure out what is going on and who's with who. And it's one of those kind of movies, and I just found it brilliant and fun, and I watch it almost every Christmas because it's just one of those movies that, especially after it snows, because that's kind of what the movie feels like. It's a very, isolated film. In fact, Tarantino calls it his thing, because he has Kurt Russell in it. It's set in the snow, and the beauty of it for him was he this is the first film that he ever had a score for. Most people don't realize he's never had a score for any of his movies. Just music playing in the movies, never a score. Wow. He's used old scores in his films, and usually he steals from Morricone. And he actually had Ennio Morricone do the score for this, but Ennio was so old at the time. This is just before he passed. He's like, look, I just am not going to be able to write an entire new score for you. He goes, I'll give you a couple themes. But what you can do is take all these outtakes from The Thing that I never got to use. So a lot of the music that you hear in that movie is from The Thing. And Tarantino freaked out about that. He's like, this is my thing. He's like, so he was just so thrilled to be able to use the music that was cut out of The Thing for this movie. And it works. You wouldn't even know it if somebody didn't tell you that kind of thing.
I did not know that. I really didn't.
Yeah, because you can't really tell, but like, I mean, if you listen close enough, you probably would be able to figure it out now, but yeah. But he wrote like 2 or 3 new themes, and then the rest of the music is just music from The Thing.
Well, I thought this was a good film and a good role for Kurt Russell, and just shows more of his versatility. We'll make up something.
Versatility.
Yes, so true.
She was so good in this movie.
Oh, powerhouse actors. You get people in that are good at their craft. You give them good material, and you have somebody who can direct them and put them in the. Director's job is to put the actors in a place to succeed. You get out there, and I thought he did.
Oh yeah, this is a stellar cast. You've got beyond Kurt Russell and as we just said, Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Oh, I mean, it's good. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel Jackson, of course. You've
playing himself.
Yeah. Actually, this is one of his better roles too. I love him in this movie.
Who's good in this with a mustache?
See, got you seeing pitches now, don't I?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would like to see more Samuel L. Jackson and Kurt Russell in movies.
My favorite bit in the whole movie is when he's sitting there and Mexican Bob's like, "Are you accusing me?" He's like, "Not yet." But I'm going to tell you. You see, she used to have a sign over there above the bar. It said, "No dogs or Mexicans allowed." Last spring, Minnie took that sign down. Now, do you know why that is, Mexican Bob? Because she started letting dogs in. Now I'm calling you a liar. I love that line. It's just boom. Because he figures it out right away. Because he knows Minnie, and it's amazing. That whole bit is just like, oh, fuck. That whole thing is just great. And it's just Tarantino just being Tarantino. So, but anyway, moving on. Nick's number 2 was Screwed by Tom. And okay, so I think people here from here on out can probably figure the next 2 or 3
I think we all
films.
have a different
Films,
order.
yeah.
We all know what the 3 movies are. It's what order will they be?
That's true. Well, actually, there's 4 in this play, actually, because I got a different one than some of you guys.
Well, I'm surprised that my number 5 was X'd out because I can't believe somebody had the number 1, but we'll see.
Yeah, that was me, I think. I think I fucked you on
was
that
it?
one, 70s.
Okay.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
that's where I said there's actually 4 movies in play here because we know of the 3, the obvious 3, but we'll see here.
Yeah,
So,
I
all
looked
right.
at the 70s and I went, oh, yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah,
But
you're
hey,
screwed.
Kurt Russell, look at disappointment, baby.
But let's get to these super chats because you guys were generous enough to send in some while we were on this round. House of Trady sent in $5 Canadian. Had recently noticed the Santa Clauses 2 season 2 on torrent sites. Read the episode description, sounds even more woke than season 1. Never saw any advertising for season 2. I do remember them saying it was coming out here. Yeah. Jeremiah Hembry says Tom BR wants the chat to send you super chats in different languages to make you laugh. It made me something. I was just trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. I was like, is this French? Is this fucking Russian?
Well,
What?
I think you got something in Flemish and really screwed
Flemish.
up. Yeah, and I think you told the Flemish people to suck your dong. I believe that's what you said.
You can translate it? No, I'm just clearing my throat.
What's that
Yes.
stuff in your throat? It's phlegm-ish.
Oh, yes. You're a
You're
certified prince. Gabriel Knight says Captain Ron is the best Kurt Russell film. Well, it was on the list earlier, so if you missed it, go ahead and back it up. We talked about it a little bit, but yes, it's a movie that definitely made it on the list, but it's top of yours as I see, Gabriel. We are glad to have you here. And yeah, we still need to check out this fake trailer. Hopefully you have some time to do that. So I'm keeping that in there just so we remember that.
And the great thing about this is all these films on these lists, you can't go wrong with them. Really. Not in my opinion.
Well, 3,000 Miles in Graceland.
That was a
I
stretch.
like
I
it.
understand it. But,
I know. I get it.
I know. But it's you, Scribe.
In fact-
you're fine.
While you guys were talking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, I only have that on DVD. Is it on Blu-ray yet? And I went and looked. It's on Blu-ray, but it's expensive.
Oh.
So I'm like, shit. I'm gonna have to wait a little while. I'm not spending $22 on a movie.
I went
that's
and
that-
I bought Tequila
22
Sunrise
bucks
on eBay.
on 3,000
Yeah.
miles. Like, Jesus.
Exactly. I'll wait.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, while we were talking, I went on eBay and bought Tequila Sunrise on DVD. So,
I know I should get that one too. Damn it! I don't think I've ever seen it. Death
Death Proof's
Proof
a good one. Yeah.
almost made my list. Almost made my list. But it's not as good as some of his other films, and it's definitely one of the least Tarantino films.
Miracle was like number 7 for me. If I were to have done top 10, I would have had Miracle in there because Miracle is really good.
If only Miracle had been on somebody's list,
Speaking
Nick.
of, why
Yeah,
don't you
if
go to the
only.
next slide.
I know. I've been screwed a
There
lot
it is.
less.
Oh,
Speaking of-
thanks, Tox. Thank you, Tox.
Yeah, so I
Wow.
saw
What
70s do that number 5, and I'm like, screw that sheep lover. All right.
Whoa.
With all this.
Okay, so your number 5 wasn't what I thought it was. I can't remember everybody's
That
list.
was number
Miracle.
5 was Miracle. So this Kurt Russell's a good actor. Watch this film. He turns into this real life person. Okay, so if you don't know Herb Brooks, he was a different kind of guy. And the 1980 Miracle on Ice, there was a lot of stuff going on in the U.S. I lived in a city where the oil problems just devastated the entire city. Right, we're talking a city of about 400,000 people at the time. Just devastated all the oil industry and everything there. My father and everybody were dealing with that, and it was a crap time. And nobody expected the U.S. hockey team to do anything because at the time, professionals didn't play. But the Russians didn't allow their players to come play in the hockey league. You would think that that's insane now, right? It had them all, but no, that didn't happen. And the Yugoslavs, none of them came over. So the U.S. got destroyed, and with these kids coming out of college, he took a band of college kids and won the gold medal. It was broadcast out of Lake Placid. It was the 1980 Lake Placid Olympics. And Al Michaels, Do You Believe in Miracles? And oh man, it just makes me emotional thinking about that. Here are these kids, they weren't supposed to beat these professionals, and they did. And they won, they beat Russia in the semifinal game to get to Finland. So to beat Finland.
Finland, yeah.
Right. And
it's a beautiful movie. Beautiful movie.
Just it's shown at 2:00 in the afternoon. Nobody really saw it. We heard about it on rebroadcast because at the time there was no live broadcast and stuff. It was all happening afterwards and there. This film comes out in 2004, right? So 24 years afterwards. And I'm like, whatever. They nailed everything in this film. The look, the feel, the clothing, all of it. And if he's not Herb Brooks, this film doesn't work.
There's not many
people he should have won an Oscar.
Can carry that jacket off, Talks, you know. Not many people can carry that jacket off, but Kurt does it.
No. And so Herb Brooks was a different kind of dude. And when they won, he just Herb Brooks walked away. You see him, they win. The guys are going nuts. The crowd's going nuts. And Herb Brooks just walks out. Because the Olympic Committee gave him crap the whole time for the kids that he picked and all that stuff. So it's a great story. This is the greatest role I've ever seen Kurt Russell in my opinion. So go ahead, 70s. I'll shut up. This is a great film for me.
No, you said an awful lot of great things. I mean, first of all, Kurt pulled off the almost impossible task of making someone from Minnesota look human.
Yeah, that's very tough.
Which is not easy to do.
I should have mentioned that Herb Brooks is from Minnesota. It kind of explains everything.
And he does the voice, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see the real Herb Brooks in vintage
mannerisms and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that jacket.
Yes.
But it's a classic sports. I had to pick it first of all because it's hockey, but it is a great sports movie, regardless of the sport. Classic underdog tale, and his tactics he uses to forge the team. Now, obviously, that's on Herb Brooks, but Kurt just plays it so convincingly, and he's got such a great manner about his acting that you could see him leading almost like a young group of actors to become the characters they're playing. So it's a very feel good movie.
There's not a lot of name people playing these guys.
No, there's not
either. So,
well, this is the first time I ever felt like he was playing somebody else. Like he didn't look like. I mean, look at that. That's a great picture you picked there of him.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I picked.
Because like he physically alters himself in this movie.
He does. It's weird. He looks different. Yeah, and he plays it very. He doesn't. Herb wasn't playing the nice guy. I mean, he was tough with these kids.
Herb Brooks was not nice. Nope.
Yeah, well, so Kurt plays that very convincingly. He's not all, fatherly, brotherly, whatever. He's like,
well, it's not just that. Guys. Physically, he looked.
Oh yeah, he did some of the nervous mannerisms and the kind of hunched over a little bit. He lost some weight for this role.
It's just a great movie.
And
beautiful movie.
Kurt Russell, like I say, in this one, just showed what he could do as an actor. He could do it all. All these films you've seen, stuff from here, he had a reverence to this person, right? So when he came into this person was still alive. Where was he? I think was Herb dead by then?
No,
I can't remember when Herb died.
I think so. It was
2003.
It's 2003.
He died. Yeah, he died. Before this film came out in 2004.
Just before. Yeah,
just before. That's right. I was sitting there trying to remember. But you could tell he's going to be reverent to this man's memory and legacy in this film. So Anyway, I
classic
could go
sports
on
movie.
forever
Classic
talking about
sports
this
movie.
film. It's a great film.
But yeah, we got a few more
We
movies to
gotta
go
watch.
here, and we're going to lose Gary here shortly. So
I might get one now. I might get one after
you
this.
might actually get one, yeah. Here we go. 70s rock fan has the thing that's also on Scribe and Nick's list. But can we come back to this? Let's go on to Gary's real
keep
quick, 'cause
going.
we're going to
Keep
lose
going.
him. Yeah, we'll go real quick to Gary's, which Gary picked Big Trouble in Little China, which was also Scribe and Andy's number 1 and Andy's number 2. So there you go. Go ahead, Gary. Take us off here because I know you only got a few more minutes before you have to leave us.
Yeah, my favorite Kurt Russell character is Pliskin, but my favorite Kurt Russell movie is Big Trouble in Little China. I guess I was watching the commentary on Escape from New York. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but Carpenter's actually trying to, point out some really interesting things about the movie, and Russell just keeps cracking open beers and handing them to Carpenter, and he's like, chill out, have a beer.
I was just going to say they're drunk by the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty shit-faced, and Carpenter's like, all right, well, I'm trying to talk about the movie. He's like, yeah, fuck that, here, just drink. But I guess Russell's playing Clint Eastwood as Pliskin, and in this movie he's playing the Duke,
John Wayne.
John Wayne. And I like this is I think Used Cars is his funniest performance, but this is a funny ass performance. This movie cracks me up every time I watch it. I can watch this movie every week, man. I want to see more Jack Burton. I got the comic books, Old Man Jack. They're pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of you guys out there probably feel the same way. This is definitely my number 1, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yep. Yeah, this is a great movie.
This was actually my number 5, actually, but go ahead. Yeah.
This, I mean, you put all these genres together, and it's probably something only Carpenter could do and blend them so well. A lot of action, comedy, every character in it's likable. It's really, and the special effects are pretty impressive too.
There's arguably also an element of fantasy in there too, Andy, because there's also definitely a fantasy element. And usually when you do that, it can be a very jumbled mess, but this movie does all these genres effortlessly. It really does.
This is basically if John Wayne was in a Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah.
yeah. Well said.
You will come out no more.
I've had enough of all the wackadoo kicking and punching. I just want my truck back. Yeah. But anyway, so I mean, this was my number 5. Scribe, this was your number 1 as well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you go first.
So this is urban sword and sorcery. And it's just, it's like you say, it's such a great mix of genres, and it's got everything a teenage boy could have wanted back in the 80s to see in a movie. It's got humor, action, monsters, Kim Cattrall, it's a smorgasbord of everything you want in just a fun movie. And Kurt Russell knows exactly what this movie is. He knows exactly what his character needs to be, and it's the perfect fit. It's one of those movies where you couldn't imagine anything being different because it's just such a perfect combination: direction, acting, scripting. The humor is just right. Like nothing, as far as I can recall, it's been a little bit since I last saw it, but nothing falls flat. Everything works. And even when the special effects compared to modern things kind of go by the wayside, you can't help but appreciate the ingenuity and the creativity that went into it, especially since it's all practical. It's just an artifact from a time that is sorely fading away too quickly.
Yeah.
And as I was going to say, he's actually the sidekick in this movie, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, exactly. That was so bizarre. It worked so well. I mean, he's kind of like, just to jump ahead a little bit, it's almost like the most recent Mad Max movie, where he's basically just a sidekick to Charlize Theron, but he's driving the story from the sidelines. But no, it's just great. It was a real tough for me to put, and I'm no spoiler alert for everybody else. It was real tough for me to decide between this or The Thing as my number 1 thing. But ultimately, I think this might be one of the best showcases of Kurt Russell as an overall entertainer. And so I think that's probably where it puts me.
No, I'm with Gary and you guys on this. Like, I really loved the whole hamming it up as, John Wayne, basically. And, like, it's just amazing. Like, this movie makes me laugh every fucking time I see it.
Yes.
I love his antics. I love that he never really does anything at all of value in the entire film. And every time he tries.
He talks a good
talk, but but like, I love, like, even when he, like, knocks himself out half the time and shit like that. It's just, it's a brilliant film. It's clearly John Carpenter's funniest films ever made. And it's probably one of his most ambitious movies.
Yeah.
Most people don't look at it that way, but I mean, it was in the sense of what he put into this. I mean, it's like you're talking about everything in the kitchen sink in this movie.
I think it was the last time he worked with a big studio too.
I think you're right. Other than, he did work with Sony on Vampires and Ghosts of Mars, and then those were the last. He's like,
he really had a problem with the studio with Fox on this, but this was probably his biggest mainstream movie.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, this movie, I remember when it came out. I mean, it was on HBO. I remember constantly. It was fun. It was just every time I remember seeing it, and of course, just like everybody else, the first time you'd see Mortal Kombat or the video game Mortal Kombat, first thing you'd think of if you've ever seen this movie is like, wait a minute.
Yeah, my favorite scene in this is when he decks the 3 Storm, one of those guys. He hits him really hard, and then he hits him really hard again, and the guy just doesn't move. And then Kurt Russell just looks at him. He's like, and then he gets down and flies out. That was awesome.
But yeah, so we're going to be losing you right now, Gary, because you said you had to take off. So I'll give you the last minute or two here to plug anything or say anything you want about this or any other movie, because we're going to go back to The Thing here.
No, this is it. This is my list. But The Thing was honorable mention. But hey, check out Andy and I over at Pop Culture Breakdown on Wednesdays with Dictor Van Doomcock, and then check us out here on the hit list every week. See y'all later. Hail Mead Radio and hail
Take care, Gary.
In the Wrenches.
Take
See
care,
you later.
Gary.
Hope you had a happy holiday.
Sorry about all those guys that screwed you tonight.
It's okay.
I tried to stay out of it.
A nice change
It's
of
like
pace.
prison.
It's usually women. Now it's dudes.
Yeah, okay. Now you
like
said
a man.
Yeah.
Well, with
like a
Gary,
man.
we can believe it because he's a good-looking dude. So there you go.
That's
See
true.
now.
Oh,
That's
see?
Oh,
You're pretty.
Well, he
I
did work
am.
in Hollywood,
You're right.
so-
I used
Yeah,
to be.
you are.
Okay, guys. I love
Have a
y'all.
good
See you
one.
later.
I think the only thing that stops him from
T-bone
being an
Tomahawk.
actor is he actually has a brain.
Yeah, that's true.
See now, because he could be a good actor, but he's like, no, I can't fucking do this shit.
I'm not that dumb.
Oh, he's got acting credits too out there.
hey Tom,
Yes, he does, but
I got to split as well.
okay. Well, The Thing. Did you want to say anything about The Thing real quick, Scribe? Before you head out?
I mean, I think at least in 3 different shows previous to this, The Thing has been on my list for one reason or another. Halloween.
I was gonna say
or
we've
Best-
talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, we've talked about it quite a bit, so I don't know anything more I can add. I'm sure you guys have got plenty to say otherwise. But if you have not seen The Thing, you owe it to yourself and your country to see John Carpenter's The Thing. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, this one.
Yep,
Even the original
Well, a
should,
few
but this
remakes.
is the best one.
That's
Yes.
yeah.
it's true.
superior.
Don't see the prequel. Caramba, no. Don't.
Yeah,
Just
geez.
don't.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, Scribe. Check out Scribe's
Subscribe.
channel. You got anything happening later you want to plug?
Just my weekly show on Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, TED Excellence, where I take a look at off-brand TED Talks for information and entertainment. I call it infotainment because I'm original like that.
That's nice. It's really
I know. Yeah, it's
I'm sorry that
torture,
Tom
but-
screwed you tonight.
I am
Oh, well, most action I've gotten lately.
The
so,
upside is I'm not a very big. I mean, I'm big, but I'm not very big where it counts. So you probably didn't even notice.
And with that, I shall exit. Good night, everybody. Take
See you,
care.
Scribe.
See you, buddy.
2 inches of terror is what they call me. I
We sent
mean, or
Scribe
was
out
it
with
2
a
inches of
disappointment.
terrible? I don't remember.
The thought of it is more
Alright.
horrifying than the
At
thing.
least it doesn't.
All
last
right,
that
so yeah, we've talked about The Thing quite a bit on this channel, so I don't want to like brush past it. But go ahead, guys, and say your pieces
there's
about it.
not a lot more we could say that we haven't said in the past, other than that it's a masterpiece of horror,
Are we talking
claustrophobic.
about The Thing
horror.
or Tom's Thing?
That's what
My
I'm talking
2
about,
inches
Tom.
of terror.
The thing
That's
is, no, it would it's one of my 5 favorite movies of all time. Never mind 5 favorite Kurt Russell movies, and it's a masterpiece. It's hard to believe that at the time it was released, a lot of people didn't like it, because to me it's a masterpiece. I keep saying that word. I absolutely love it. I will never tire of it.
I don't know if anybody didn't like it. I just think it flopped at the time, and then people discovered it a little bit later. Like, this is one that I remember becoming a very fast cult classic. So I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just saying, I mean, I remember it flopping in theaters, but once it hit video,
like it, yeah,
wait, they may have not, but nobody gave a shit about critics back then.
If anyone, as Scribe said, if anyone hasn't seen it, I don't know which Antarctic frozen tundra you're living under, but it's magnificent. Kurt is just perfect in it. I mean, it's a great ensemble cast anyway, but his character is just that right blend of courage and sardonic humor and skepticism and just plain old ballsy. What the fuck is going on here? That he just plays it perfectly. He's the right human for the part.
Yeah. As Bruce says here, I remember, Thing was huge on HBO, and honestly, I think besides Blade Runner, I think it is one of the more higher selling laser discs of all time.
Yeah. I've got the 4K Steelbook there. And
I do too. I don't have the Steelbook, but I got the regular one.
No,
it
looks
phenomenal.
Good. Nick, over
Grand Admiral Adam, that's true, but what if you don't have a handful below the waist?
Oh, here it is. Yeah. Okay, I got it. That was really good. I'm sorry. You know what?
Little play on words there.
Alec Baldwin's here. Just stand for this.
Oh,
one.
shit.
Hey.
Oh, it's okay. We're not women. He'll just graze us.
Shoot, Alec.
That's right.
Alec, there's no women here. No women here.
None.
Put the gun down.
It's not. This is not a Western film. It is not.
Over to Nick for some final words on the Thing.
Yeah, anything to say about the Thing, my man?
Dude, I mean, once again, it's the remake where it's better, as I mentioned earlier. Kurt Russell's just he's playing a survivor, a creature that takes many forms, and it becomes a who do you trust? And it's like, oh crap, everyone's off of themselves type of movie. So yeah, and the creature still looks great and has aged better than most movies that have CG nowadays. So, and it's still terrifying to watch. So, highly recommend The Thing. That's it. Everyone else is
it didn't make my list, but I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's just
that's fair.
There's 5 other Kurt Russell movies I like more.
Nothing wrong with that, mate.
Yeah.
If we all had exactly the same list, it wouldn't be fun.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
And then we've got Andy, who was screwed by me on my number 1. So you're the other one who had that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we keep moving along here, and it is Tombstone, and this is the one that screwed everybody.
Mm-hmm.
No,
get in that smoke wagon, get to work.
No,
Oh,
Tombstone.
feels good.
Oh gosh, I mean, well, since this is Andy and mine's number 1, Andy, why don't you go first?
Kurt Russell is actually not the spotlighted hero in this. He took over a lot of directing duties and gave some of the best lines to Val Kilmer with this. But he's still a commanding presence in the film. Has some great scenes in it. My favorite thing might be like, you tell him I'm coming and hell's coming with me. You called down the thunder. He's like that.
You got it. That's a great fucking yeah.
Yeah, he's really, really impressive with it. And like when I mean, so many things in this movie are so much fun. And back when this came out, my parents had died, so it was therapy. I bought myself a horse, and all I did was ride a horse for about 5 years. And so this was perfect for me. Like when I ended up getting married, we did a whole Western theme, and we all had like little tin badges and stuff. It was fun.
Nice.
So
Really? One of my really good friends got married in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and we did a whole Western theme based off of this film. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there is a whole... One of these days, there will be excellent documentary and or book or both written about the making of this movie. The fact that this movie is so good, considering the amount of shit that went on behind the scenes, like one of these days, hopefully that story gets told. I know some of the bits and pieces, and I know somebody who knows some of the bits and pieces, and supposedly this individual, I'm begging him for it for a while, has one of the longer assembly cuts of Tombstone, and it clocks in around 3+ hours. And I want to see it. So like basically, yeah, what you were just saying, Andy, is kind of similar to what I was being told, and that was that Kurt was kind of ghost directing this movie for the most part.
Yeah.
It got torn between two other directors, and then the director whose name's on it basically was just name only. He kind of just let Kurt finish it out because he kind of already done most of the movie already at that point.
Yeah.
And the fact that this movie was just turmoil after turmoil after turmoil and came out and kicked the shit out of Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
When everybody thought that was going to be the big winner. And it turned out to be the 3-hour snore fest. And this one was basically what Young Guns what started with Young Guns, Tombstone perfected and did it so well that nobody else could really do it again. Like, you have not had a Western that is this fucking cool ever since, right? Like, the closest thing to this movie I could say would be like Silverado. You know what I mean? Just a rock and roll Western.
What about
they tried it, but Unforgiven is just a pure classic Western.
Yeah.
Right.
I put this in the same
rock and roll Western. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking like rock and roll Western. You had Silverado, Young Guns, they all fall in that kind of a category. And that was just kind of that era. I mean, probably the last one was that one that Sam Raimi did with what's her face from Basic Instinct, Sharon Stone.
Quick and
the Dead.
Quick and the Dead.
Yeah. So like that's kind of where the era kind of ended with that. But like you just had a good handful of these movies that really kicked the Western into a new level. Like, yeah, you know, you had Unforgiven come out around that same time, but Unforgiven was like, to me, the perfect Western. Like, there's no better Western than Unforgiven. It's number one, not to give away a future list, but like Tombstone is right up there, but that's a different kind of Western, right? Just kind of like Clint Eastwood Westerns, John Wayne Westerns, rock and roll Westerns. That's kind of the way I see it. You have like those styles. Does that make sense?
Way of breaking that down.
Because you have the pre Clint Eastwood era, which was dominated by John Wayne, which is, you know, kind of the joke in Back to the Future 3 when he comes out dressed like a clown and he's like, Clint Eastwood never wore anything like this, Doc. Like, yeah, when they used to dress like that. And then you have the era after that where they're a little bit more accurate. And then this where they're clearly not very fucking accurate, but they're just damn good movies. Although this movie does take some pains to get the OK Corral fight, I think, in time perfectly with whatever it was reportedly. But this movie does take a lot of liberties. I'm not going to lie about that. But you got a picture here, Andy, you want to share?
It's entertainment, though.
My whole thing we did go along with this at the wedding.
I can't see it for some reason. Is it up there?
It's supposed
I
to.
see film.
Yeah, it's not showing for some reason. Hang on here.
So while we're doing that, I'm watching this movie, and you know when Kurt Russell turns around, or he's there, and he says, "Hey, Stillwell," and the guy turns around and he blows him away. All right, my dad leans over and says, "You know what? That's your great grandmother's brother he just killed."
Really?
So my great grandmother, her brothers were the Stillwell gang, and they all went off to Arizona and ended up getting killed and all that stuff from there. So yeah,
Wow.
that's my claim to infamy.
Yeah, and he was probably more accurate in terms of look and personality, but movie-wise, this is one of it's kind of in the middle. Like,
It's
certain
still
aspects of it. Go ahead.
Oh, it's because obviously it's Doc Holliday's movie, but he had what Jason Webster's right, especially with the giant mustache. He nailed that mustache, even though it was mainly Doc Holliday's movie in terms of the more memorable character. But he still had some great lines to deliver, nonetheless. Like you got to do something or just stand there and bleed, or you're not a hypocrite. You just like to sound like one. So, like, he still had his moments in that.
Yeah, and he plays it with such warmth, and he's got such a form.
What I mean
portrayal.
is they really amalgamize, or what do you want to call it, like compress a lot of his life in the last part of that story, and not everything is historically accurate. I get it. To where Wyatt Earp, the Kevin Costner movie, took more pains to be more historically accurate, let's say. But this movie was just more fun. And yeah, as far as like acting like Wyatt Earp, I'd imagine this is probably what Wyatt acted more like. Because you all know, I'm sure, like, ain't no way Kevin Costner's going to have himself look bad in any way.
Right.
And like, that's the thing, is like the reality of it was when the Earp brothers came out here, they had no designs on being any kind of lawmen. And there was still, to this day, a huge debate that goes on with who was actually in the wrong in the fight in the OK Corral, because there's a lot of people on that side of the other side of the fence of the Earps who feel like it was a big political thing. All right, let's try this again, Andy.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow. That looks almost like period piece accurate.
Yeah, it really does.
You look good in sepia.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Wow, look at your young ass there. Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
29 years
Young
old.
cowboy.
The good old days.
That's awesome. All right. Well, was there anything else anybody wanted to say about Tombstone before we move on to the next one?
Nope.
Much
Yeah,
better film than
we
Wyatt
were. It wasn't just us dudes that got screwed. Kurt Russell's mustache screwed us too.
Tash had its own lines in the movie. It had its own trailer.
It had its own trailer, yeah.
Right.
Don't go in that trailer. Why? That's where Kurt's mustache is.
Tash is sleeping. Don't interrupt.
This is
It's
one of Val
sleeping.
Kilmer's best films. Too.
Oh God, yeah. Not even. I mean, because of course this is about Kurt, but yeah. I mean, Val Kilmer steals the show. Let's be real.
Oh yeah.
Kurt was able to direct, which had a major impact on this film, because you had Val Kilmer doing his best.
And I think these. I don't know for sure, because I know Val was a very difficult person to deal with back then. But I have a feeling, because I don't remember hearing any stories about him specifically from this movie. So the stuff that happened in this movie had more to do with directors and shit going on behind the scenes. So I wonder if him and Kurt were actually good friends, because that's again going back to the whole thing with him and Goldie, is those two had great fucking chemistry, right? Just you'd have never thought in a million years, like, oh, put these two together, and oh my God, it's just like magic.
Yeah. Well, it's a Morgan Freeman. So they asked him straight up, "Who's the best director you've ever had?" He's without missing a beat. He said Clint Eastwood.
Right. Oh yeah,
Let me
those
be
two
what I need to
together.
be,
Holy
and all this
shit.
stuff. He
Yeah.
said, right.
Same thing.
So
yeah.
you put Val Kilmer in with the right people directing him. It was Kurt Russell, and boom. All right, you have the best performance. Again, it's the director putting the actor in a position to give their best performance. And that's what makes great directors. Here's a guy that's been around film and making movies forever, in his almost in his entire life, pretty much. And he was able to take an actor everybody else says was difficult and make something legendary out of it, because we are still talking about this. We're talking about this over Wyatt Earp, which you were right, got all the marketing, got all the hype, and was a big giant dud.
Yeah.
People are still talking about this movie. People are quoting this movie. You see it on Reels on Facebook. You see it on Shorts on YouTube all the time. That I'm your
Oh, it's a
Huckleberry
living
has its
meme,
own
man.
shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a living meme.
So,
I have
yeah,
two Tombstone shirts, for fuck's sake.
Exactly. It is a freaking... The only thing that would have made this better is if they had done a Tombstone pizza commercial out of it as themselves, as the Earps.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, missed
that would have been
opportunity
awesome.
there.
Yeah. It just seeing Kurt Russell go, Tombstone pizza, whatever. And just before they kill the
What do you want?
Clintons
Your
and stuff.
Tombstone.
Yeah. Yeah. But what a great film.
Yeah. All right. We've got Nick coming in with Escape from New York, which was my number 4, 70's number 3, and Gary's number 2. All right. So, Nick. Oh, yeah. Nick, I forgot Tombstone was on your list. Did you want to have anything more to say about Tombstone before we go on to Escape from New York?
I threw in my bits about the mustache being the
All right,
thing that
cool.
fucked us up.
All right. So, Escape from New York. This is on almost everybody's
dude,
list. So, yeah.
Snake Plissken is not only like one of the best movie characters ever, it's pretty much the character that kind of set up a famous video game character named Solid Snake, obviously, for Metal Gear Solid fame. And it's another one of the Kurt Russell, John Carpenter pairing because these guys work very well together. It's also a movie that's, even though we have not had to rescue a president in New York City in current day, the idea of escaping New York has become, well, very much a documentary, much like
And
other John
LA for
Carpenter
that
movies.
matter.
And LA, it's follow up, and his voice is his presence, the obviously the eye patch, like it's so 80s. It's a very straightforward story, but for me, I had the most fun watching this one. I've rewatched this one. It's like I could it doesn't matter when it's on. If I were to have network TV, I would just right away just keep it going. Like network TV say, oh, it's on, well, just keep watching. It's one of those movies. And yeah, it's probably the least one that has layered story. It's a very straightforward, but that's the type of movie that's my favorite type of movie. I'm an action hero type of guy, and Snake Plissken is the man. Straight up, it's not even close for a debate. So no disrespect to Jack Burton, because Jack Burton's cool and awesome. It's Kurt Russell, but it don't get any better than Snake Plissken. And I love Escape from New York. It's badass action. It's a fun time, and it's to the point. There's not, no, it's not this movie that's like, oh, there's this big deep story. It doesn't need to be that. Fuck that shit. It's just Escape from New York and get the president out of there. Now, unfortunately, it's a documentary.
Yeah.
That's it.
70 well, Gary was next in line, but he's no longer here. So 70s.
Well, you know how good these movies are when we have a movie as good as this. I mean, it's everyone's opinion, but I've got it third in my list. I mean, and yet they're all interchangeable. You could have had this. I could have had this easily at number one as well. Kurt Russell's is Snake Plissken is Kurt Russell. It's just you can't separate the man from the part. He plays it just so well, and it was a real revelation when he did do this role. I mean, he's outstanding in it, and Adrienne Barbeau is also outstanding in her own way in this movie. So
she definitely shows up in the film. Yeah, she's distracting.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, you could have had 5 John Carpenter Kurt Russell movies as your top 5. They're so good. I don't know what it is about that chemistry. We talk about actor chemistry, but actor-director chemistry, I guess they're just on the same page. This is just, I can't remember how many times I've seen this movie, and I watch it every time almost as if it's the first time. It's so good. And a lot of it does revolve around his performance. I mean,
the way
take him out of the movie and put someone else in, would it be as good? I'm not so sure it would. You know?
I agree. 70s. The way New York City looks at it's definitely one of the movies that nailed the look of a dystopian environment too. Like if I were to imagine what New York City would look like in a dystopia, that's how I envision it. Like, great, I know the movie put the image in my head, but it just seems the one that makes the most sense.
I think they've actually understated things compared to the present day, Nick. But anyway, it's that you would almost prefer to live in Escape from New York.
Just so I can try to be like Snake Plissken.
At least
they
you'd have Snake
captured New
Plissken.
York at a cleaner time.
That's right. At least you know Snake Plissken was out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can separate Kurt from this part in this movie. And like as I say, you could cast someone else in the role. I don't think it would be nearly as effective. It's a great movie, but it's a great movie with him in it, making it even greater. So well done, Kurt.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Immortal.
It seems like the chat also agrees because according to the poll, even though Snake Plissken was their favorite character, Big Trouble in Little China ran away with their favorite movie with 37%. The Thing came in with second place with 25%. Tombstone with third place with 21%. And Escape from New York came in all the way in last place with only 16% of the vote. But to me, I mean, yeah, this was number 4 on my list. Great film. Did you have more to say, Brian?
Just one more thing is, how great is it that we're not arguing, but discussing just how much better than each other these four magnificent movies are in that poll.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's just a matter of degree, just tiny little degrees of
Yeah, that's
personal
what's fun
preference.
about this top list here, between Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, Tombstone, and The Thing. Like, I mean, just to have those, just any actor would love to have those movies just in general. But like, I think it was you two, Tox, who said at the beginning of the show, he has like, what, over 70 roles he's been in at this point?
Somewhere around in there. Yeah. And it's
crazy. Holy shit. That means dude has been making, because he started when he was young, so it means he's had to have done on average, like, okay, so 62, and he's, so that means he's only been acting since
in
he's
62.
Oh, he started in 62.
He started in 62.
Well, how old was he when he started?
I don't know.
So I'm just saying the average would have to be at least two.
Isn't he 72 years old?
72, so he's 10 years old.
Yeah, but first role was 62, and he's 72 years old now, I think.
Yeah, so he started in 1962, so he was 9-10 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
so he's had
checks out.
So I was going to say probably an average of what, 2.3 movies a year at least, his entire life.
Fair, a lot of the earlier stuff were TV episodes of ones or twos here and there, especially in the early 70s.
True, but okay, but even
the
still,
Virginian
like,
and stuff like that. But yeah, but in movie wise, he's put last 30, 40 years.
He did
he's
a
been
lot of
making
roles in television. He was in Gunsmoke. He was in Gilligan's
Oh,
Island.
yeah.
He was
He's
on
in The
Man from Uncle. He was in The
Virginian.
Virginian. He was in The Fugitive. I mean, he was just a child actor there. And
one of
then
the
he
most
started doing
prolific
stuff in Disney.
actors ever. Yeah.
He's also in the new Monarch series on Apple. It's got
Yes, which is good. I like that one.
I'm enjoying it.
All these years back on TV.
But he still gets a lot of work because he's Kurt Russell, and that's great. It's because he's good at what he does.
He's a Tarantino favorite as well. So even if his career were to fall off a cliff, Tarantino would probably come out of retirement just to make sure that Kurt Russell still had a career at 80.
Good.
This is not going to do. No, I love this movie. It's a great fucking flick. Great fucking concept. I mean, again, just kind of proving that John Carpenter is one of the kings of high concept ideas.
Great score too.
Oh yeah, one of his best scores besides probably my second favorite next to Halloween, if not tied with Halloween. Even Escape from LA gets a lot of flack, and I enjoy it, even though it's pretty much the same movie all over again.
He was in Vanilla Sky.
Yeah, he was in Vanilla. He's been in a lot of shit.
He's got the best moment in Vanilla Sky when his character realizes he's not real, and his reaction to that, like, gotta be fucking kidding me, I'm not real.
76 films.
Well, and I love him in Big Trouble in not Big Trouble in Little China. Jesus, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You guys ever see that?
Yeah,
I love him in that.
Yes.
And especially like when his wife's like, "Get your shit and get the fuck out of here." He's like, "I'll handle this." Get your shit and get the fuck off the lot.
He was in Hawaii Five-0 in 1977. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the most prolific actors of our time, man. I mean, just.
Now, he didn't do any television
powerhouse
from 1980 until 2021. When he
That's
did
what I mean.
What If. He just
kind of a come back home kind of thing for him with
TV
coming back
and
to
Voice
Monarch.
recently. Yeah.
Well, when you got nothing to prove and like you've got enough, I mean, he
did the Santa Claus thing too, but yeah.
But he's smart enough to do like he left Hollywood. He doesn't live in California.
No, he totally is out of that game. Yeah.
I think he's got a farm like Idaho or something, a ranch or something like that. On the Midwest.
Yeah, and he's lucky that he keeps a lot of his politics to himself, even though most people know where he stands. But I mean, I don't think anybody can get. He's one of those people that he's above that. Nobody can fucking touch him. He's Hollywood royalty. I mean, the man was one of the last things that Walt Disney had any kind of say or sway in, right? Like he was, he kind of.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying. So he did the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes in 1969. Now You See Him, Now You Don't in 1972, and The Strongest Man in the World in 1975. He was Disney Studios' top star in the 1970s.
I think we also need to mention, because there seems to be some weird narratives that only people who are too, I guess we'll just say, I don't want to turn this into a political show, but people who are to the left of Bernie Sanders are the only ones who are good at making art. He's proof you don't have to be, it doesn't take being a political stance to be good at producing art. It can happen if you're in the right,
Well-
if you're in the center, if you're even in the left, a lot of
Listen
great
to this
lefties
run. So
have made great stuff.
Elvis
But
in
it's not
1979,
it's not a
right?
political thing.
He's not. Elvis
Yeah.
in 1979. Used Cars in 1980. Okay. Escape from New York 1981. The Thing 1982. Silkwood 1983.
Oh yeah,
Right.
he was in Silkwood.
Yeah.
Silkwood, he
And
was
then-
the best thing in Silkwood too.
Yeah, Silkwood's good. Big Trouble in Little China in 1986. What a hell of a 5-6 year period.
That's what I mean. And then he did Overboard the year after that, and then it goes on and on and on. And then there's times where I think he did at least 2 movies a
Tango
year.
and Cash 88, Backdraft 91, Tombstone 1993. Tombstone was a film made in 93. Yeah. And it just
Yep.
I'm amazed when you sit back and look. He's one of those guys that you see him on film. Yeah, he's a good actor. I've enjoyed watching this. You don't realize everything he's in because you
Oh, yeah.
don't have enough time to watch all of it. That's what gets me.
And as
Brings it
Industrious
back to
Bear
what-
said, he
what
got
I-
to kick Elvis in the shins once. So as
true.
Industrious said, yeah.
That's true.
It
But I mean,
it brings it back to what I said earlier at the beginning. Like he's not the first name that comes to mind, but once you actually like go through this, oh yeah, I did say, that one, yeah. You're like, oh crap, he did have an incredible body of work.
gosh, just to have seen him do more films with Mel Gibson would have been, oh yeah. But anyway,
Agreed.
it
Mel
would have been great.
Gibson and he's been a family friend of theirs for years.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, there's some and there's some pictures out there of like them just like Mel Gibson goofing off together because Mel Gibson did Bird in a Wire with Goldie Hawn.
Mhm.
He did Tequila Sunrise with Kurt Russell, and those guys I would love to see kind of almost like a variation of the Expendables with those guys because it would be just so much fun. I'm really looking forward to this Lethal Weapon that Mel Gibson is going to direct because I think it'll be funny. It'll
He's
be
directing it.
yeah.
You know, it'd be really
Directing
cool.
it?
Yep.
Okay, now I
Yeah.
actually have hope that might actually be good.
Well, yeah,
If it's
because he
directing
promised
it,
Richard.
I
He
have
promised Richard he would, because Richard, I think, knew he was not doing the best
Yeah.
near the end,
Uh-huh.
and I guess, and he insisted. So that's like I guarantee you that's the only reason he's directing it
Mm.
is because Richard Donner said so.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the studios are not really in they don't make Mel Gibson movies anymore.
Right.
But no, I mean, Kurt Russell, he's got so many films that we didn't even get to make the list. I know some people are upset about Stargate not being on the list. That's
Stargate would
could've
have been
done
in
that.
my top 10. Didn't quite manage to get into my top 5. It was
I
in my
actually
top
saw
10.
some people mention. Actually, I saw even a handful mention Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 because they liked him as Ego of the Living Planet. I mean, it's not my obviously.
it would have been
I-
close
there's
for
a lot-
me.
You could easily
What?
do a whole list of everyone's 6 to 10.
Well, and it's
Well,
like this too. It's like
Yes,
with with like Guardians and Once Upon a Time. He's not the star, and that's kind of the way I took it, or the way we took the list
Yeah.
was
Okay.
movies where he's specifically the star. Yeah,
Another one in my top 10 is its Breakdown, which is the,
yep,
the
yeah, that's a
truck
good
driver
one.
thing. It's
Yeah.
There's so many. I mean, just
But yeah, go ahead and throw your guys' picks in the chat there as far as ones that didn't get mentioned. We'd love to
I
get
just
some.
like seeing the variation. Like it shows you
Yeah.
like everyone out there has a favorite or a different favorite, whether it's one that he was the main character or a supporting character. There's moments that stick out for people. It's not just one or two. Everyone out there has their one for them. And that's cool to see. It's a very different variation. Like obviously there's a lot of people who have like the say with the Tombstone, the Thing, Escape from New York. But all the other variations, I saw a lot. There's a handful who mentioned used cars. There's people who mentioned,
Yeah.
I even a few mentioned Backdraft, which I was like, Backdraft, should we talk about Captain Ron? It's cool to see Miracle. It's cool to see that happen.
Well, about the
He played
so-
Elvis Presley in Forrest Gump, uncredited.
yes, he did. He played.
Yeah,
So he played
sorry,
Elvis
yeah.
twice.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, so throw your guys' honorable mentions in the chats, the ones that we didn't bring up in the list. And we'll get to those in just a moment. We got a couple super chats we'll get to. Eric Wimberg says respect for that one partner. Yeah. Thank you so much, Eric. Jason Webster says my favorite films starring Kurt Russell are The Thing, Escape from New York, and Tombstone. Good picks.
Cannot beat any of those films.
That's
You
right.
know,
Jason
he was
Webster.
really good in Deepwater Horizon.
Yes. And then Jason Webster sends another Australian 5 and says, fun fact, after finishing work on The Thing, Creative effects supervisor Rob Bottin was admitted to the hospital for exhaustion for a brief stay. Well, he was a weirdo, yes, and he always overworked himself. That was a
I could
common
see it,
issue with him.
and that's
He burnt
probably why
himself out
those
pretty bad.
effects have stood up for that long.
He also worked on RoboCop and a bunch of other things too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
ActionCom says, "Do you think Pliskin got famous tattoo before or after he got his nickname Snake?" Good question. And then Jason Webster says, "Jack Burton, it's all in the reflexes with an Australian $2. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, let's see what you guys are throwing out there for some. We got Bone Tomahawk was on the list. Stargate again. See here, we got Deadly Tower. What's that one?
Death Proof. Somebody's got,
Yeah, Death Proof has been named. There you go.
Breakdown.
The Best of Times with
Breakdown.
Robin Williams was great.
Best of Times is another
Mentioning
one.
Soldier.
I've only
I saw
ever seen it-
a few for Soldier.
Yep.
Soldier, I was in my top 10, but didn't make the top 5. There's one I've only ever seen once years ago on a VHS, and it was on The Deadly Tower, where he played the Charles Whitman, the serial
Yeah,
killer,
he was the
which was a
sniper.
huge leap for him because he was still a Disney guy. He said,
Right.
"Oh, no, I want to play this serial killer." So apparently,
Well, he was doing
I,
Disney films in between that. He did some
yeah, I
after
barely
too.
remember it, but it's a very different role for him. But
Well,
that would be an interesting
so it's
one
one of
to
those
see
things.
again.
He was the one making the money for them, so he said, "I want to make this film." They're not going to say no. No.
Yeah, we got Fox and the Hound mentioned. That's another good one. I didn't even really realize until later on in life that was his
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
It's same thing with Corey Feldman or whatever too. Yeah, I was like that one I picked out right away. But Bruce Lombardo says, "Toxic. Did you have Dark Blue on your list?" Yes, he did. I think. Well, somebody
Not on
did
my
anyway.
list because
It was on the
somebody
E
did.
list. Yeah.
It was on Scribe's list.
Oh,
So-
Scribes
Yeah.
list.
And it is a good-
Ah.
Thriller. It is a good crime thriller. With
Yeah, so-
he's an amoral guy, or he's not a.
That's one of
good
the
guy
things
to
that me
start.
being able to. I'm sorry, 70s. I'm stepping all over you, but
No, it's okay, man.
being able to put these lists together last. Dark Blue was on my original list, but I was okay. I was looking at this guy's career as I've got to talk about some of the stuff that he did back in the day, 60s and 70s. So when I saw that Scribe was doing that, I said, we'll get to talk about it. It'll be on there and we'll just do this. Because really, as you saw with all the screwing that was going on around it, just there's so many that, my number one, because of the emotional thing that's around it and everything there, was 70s number 5, right? And nobody else mentioned it. And it's probably one of the best films he's been in. But you could say that about 20 films with Kurt Russell. And you just don't know that until you sit down and you start looking at these things and what you're doing. He was on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's the narrator. But all that, so you can argue that film really ran because of him and stuff. But Deepwater Horizon, he was very good in that. My wife got on to me for not mentioning that one. And Sky High, what a great family film, and having kids, I can sit there, they can watch it, they can see all that stuff and go, there it is.
Yeah.
Here he is kicking
Yeah, I had the
Elvis.
It was tough to get the clip. I was like, do I clip the whole thing? Because that scene was just too long to clip the whole scene. And I just have him say weird grown-ups are weird or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, kicking Elvis. So
Well, I'll play it again
Elvis
before we go here.
twice. You got to kick Elvis, and you got to play an
Yeah.
Elvis impersonator at least once. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, Death Proof almost made my list.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I wanted to. There was a good handful of them that I was like, shit. And I knew that some of the ones I picked were going to be on other people's lists, but I probably should have done, some of us do that. We just kind of try to,
I
make
think
it
it
more
worked
varied,
out
but
this instead of doing
it's
all
all
the
right.
extras,
We went a
going
little
on
overtime, so I think even though we had a bunch of the same ones on the
crap.
list,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we still talked about it, and
Yeah.
it's sometimes you pick a film. There's not a whole lot to talk about it. There's a whole lot to talk about all of these films.
Yep.
And just
and Wild Man Beyond. I tried to find that trailer, man. If you're still listening, I could not find it. So if you can send it to me super quick, we can play it. Otherwise, we are, as I just said, running overtime. So we're not gonna drag this out too much longer because I believe Culture's been live for a little bit now already. So I want to thank all you guys. Yeah, I want to thank all you guys for all your help. Again, of course, Tox for all your hard work. Andy, Nick, 70s Rock fan, Gary, of course, who was here earlier, and Scribe Light, as always, for being here as well. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Check out their channels. Anything anybody really wants to plug super quick? Brian, I know you got a show, I think, tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're doing on Canon Film Club, 3 p.m. Mountain Time on my channel, and hopefully you'll be there too, Tom.
I got to watch it.
We're doing the Delta Force.
I will try to watch it before tomorrow. I can't guarantee it.
Just vamp.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since I was like a little kid, like a little kid.
Monday Meltdown
Nick,
Comics Division's channel tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
Oh, go ahead.
Central. Go ahead, Nick.
All right, Nick.
Toxic Tuesday, Moonraker, Comic Shop Talk Friday. We'll have Andy Masterson. We'll be talking classic comics, Fantastic Four versus the Sphinx, and I'll have a video or two out sometime this week as well. Thanks for having me, Tom. This is a lot of fun. Wait till we do the Nicolas Cage edition. Maybe we'll have a face-off about it.
Indeed, and since this was your first show, you kind of broke in as a guest. Although you'll probably pop up from time to time in the future. But yes,
I will.
We also have Andy. What do you think? Anything you want to plug real quick, Andy?
Laboratory Mayhem. I will be doing a new body review for action figure customizers, and I will be on Ranker Steve's show on Rumble, Manorama, and Doomcock show on Wednesday, Pop Culture Breakdown. All
right. Well, with that, let's send you on over to Culture Stream. Thank you all for being here. Once again, here's that lousy intro I put together in like literally minutes.
Hang out with us, folks.
Thanks again, guys.